Okay. Are we set, captions, everything?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Motion to open the meeting, is there a second?
A second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Is there any board member who has a conflict of interest or anything to disclose regarding the agenda this evening?
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not. Okay, could the clerk please read the open meeting compliance certification or give us the big clip notes?
The big cliff notes, if you're joining us by Zoom, and we did have someone join us by Zoom tonight, I think the link is working now, please give your name and address if allowed by law, and if you can put that in the Q&A. I do not check the chat. If you wish to speak directly to the board, please raise your hand. Use the raise your hand function if you're in the room. Same rules apply. And I just ask everybody be polite to each other and let's have a good meeting.
Okay. With that being said, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And I'm asking Trustee Marshall to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Before we begin this evening, I just want us to recognize tomorrow is a day of solemn remembrance. That is the 23rd anniversary of 9/11, 2001. Yeah. And, it's been on my mind, and I know on a lot of people, we all remember where we were that day. So let's just take a moment, please. Thank you. Okay, any public comment? Anybody online?
Not yet.
No one wishing to speak at this point?
I have nothing.
Okay. Then we'll start in on our agenda. First agenda item is to set the public hearing for a short-term retail permit. This is for the Christmas trees that Dave Jewett sells and the wreaths and all that kind of cool stuff. And I believe there's no change at this
Zero
point.
change, exactly the same setup
Okay.
and process as previous years.
Okay,
What is the date that we're looking at?
Since we have time between the two meetings now with the 5-day posting, we can go ahead for September 24th at
Okay.
6 p.m.
Make a motion to set a public hearing for September 26th,
24th.
24th at 6 PM for the short-term retail permit for Dave Jewett.
is there a second?
A second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, getting ready. Can't believe the holidays are going to be here before you know it. Okay, next up is for us to review the updated parking regulations map, and this is the map that was forwarded to us from the town. It was with Michelle W., yeah. And we've taken a look at the map. There are some things that we need to update it. We just wanted the board to see it, that we wanted to reflect some of the changes that were made when NISTOC came through, because they made some changes. But the good thing is they have approved those 2 parking spots in front of essentially where, I guess, sort of Bank of America was. Yeah, Soho Salon. And so I think that'd be an opportunity for us to add that into the map. It'll calm traffic, So Steve and Mikey and you, Zach, and I will just go through it. We'll make the changes, and then we'll bring it back to the board just so you can see and just make sure that
Okay.
there's anything else.
So the
Yeah.
goal, my understanding is the goal is to get this to be updated and current, and then have it be the map for a while.
Yeah, and that goes back on our website.
Yep.
It's a reference for everybody.
Great. Would it be possible, before we finalize this, to get a formal response from the fire department with regards to the lot that they've expressed publicly that they'll be turning into a public lot? could we potentially,
Yeah, we can certainly reach out to them.
because if you look at this here, we
Mhm.
have parking lot, the one behind Town Hall, or, behind
Breathe.
Breathe.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That one there is on this map. It'd be nice if we could include the one that the fire hall is referenced publicly as being a public lot.
Yeah, and what we've done, I believe you forwarded to Jared Lusk, he's one of the commissioners, the agreement that we have entered into for the Breathe lot, just, kind of standard stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think the town, again, wants to be part of that too, so it'd be a joint effort again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's circle back on that. I'll follow up.
Okay.
That'll be my action item, okay?
Great.
For me to follow up, yeah. So, yeah.
Why does it look like there's parking on both sides of West Street? Or is that just green so you can read the name?
This is not,
Yeah.
the map isn't correct. That's why we're,
Okay.
yeah.
I would just point that out if we're looking.
Oh, yeah, we're on the case here.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a number of things that really need to be updated, and,
Okay.
properly. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Steve, I just wanted to make a comment. So there's a couple of residents over on Washington Street that were complaining about the town employees parking on Washington Street and taking up a lot of space on the street where mail trucks can't get by and Amazon delivery trucks aren't able to find a place to deliver. And I know I forwarded it to you, and I sent it to Bill Smith as well, and Bill did respond, saying that they did a little research study of their own, just to kind of check in to see whether there really was the case. He didn't find that there was any issues with that. If we get the Bank of America lot open, I think that would really take some of the parking out of that area and probably bring it over there, I'm hoping. But to encourage that, is there any way of doing a little limited parking on Washington Street? So maybe doing a 3-hour during the day so that we don't get people that stay there for 8 hours? Is that a possibility to think about?
It would not be up to me or anything, it would be a board or.
It would come back to the board, and we'd have to collect the data that would actually reflect the need for that. You know what I can do, because I know Bill copied me in on
Yeah.
that stuff too. Why don't we send Bill's responses to the whole board, and that can be a starting point for us to, circle back on that.
Yeah, I drive by it every day and I never see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have the original response that I forwarded to you, correct?
Pardon?
You have the original comment that I got from the residents that I forwarded to you before the concert? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can forward that to the board as well.
Yeah, we'll forward all the information,
Okay.
exactly. So that's the action item. Okay, forward.
I got it.
You got it, thank you. Okay. Okay. Next up, let's see, well, Jeff wants to be here for this.
He's got the one in.
Oh, don't you love the perfect timing? I know.
Well, maybe if we.
You know what, how about coffee and conversation, date approvals? This is, I believe, a Frog House is going to be capturing the Zoom meeting that they're having this evening, that's going to have a discussion of vernal ponds, and the thought was to reach a broader audience, especially, on a weekend with families and kids and all that, to have her host be part of a coffee and conversation where they could show the Zoom and get people excited about the vernal ponds project,
So that was coffee and conversation?
Yeah,
On
so that-
November the 24th.
So, no, that would be, I think the date that we're looking at this point, it could be, I think it's October 5th is the one.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's soon, okay.
yeah, because she's capturing the video, she's got it, so, and I think she'd like it sooner than later for fundraising, but we'll circle back, but I think that's kind of a nice idea. Hi, Jeff.
So we haven't set the date for October 5th, or we're thinking about?
We're bringing it back to the board that that's a possible date, and we can confirm that with the Frog House, just to make sure everybody's, we can poll the board even and just say, does this look good, And then Jim Donsbaugh of the Legion is the Legion historian, and he does talks on various aspects of military history. And he was interested in, and I think it's a nice idea, and he does this talk, we can gear it to any audience level, but he does it in the schools as well, about the history of the POW MIA Remembrance Day and what it means when you go to a veterans ceremony and you see the table and the booths, and, you know, you see certain objects that are there, and you know it's in remembrance, but he talks about that, and we thought it'd be nice for him to do a coffee and conversation for the community, maybe just prior to Veterans Day, and that would be Saturday, November 9th.
So let me just get this clarified in my head. So then the coffee and conversation would just be the presentation, or would it actually be where residents come and ask questions to?
Yeah, they come in, yes, they come in and have coffee and a conversation, so it's a
And then-
little,
and
it's a
then a
little
formal
lecture, yeah,
presentation.
yeah, they're nice, it's just this nice thing, you know, it's like 9 to 10:30, you know, you come, you go, you know, you can stay for the whole thing or not. Yeah, so we thought that'd be nice, at least right before Veterans Day.
So just as an idea for the
Yeah.
same vein, if we have somebody who knows a lot about windows, shutters, other various historical renovations, I think that would be a great discussion as well. Just a broad base, put a video.
We're trying to line someone up, he's in Geneseo, and this is his busy season before, it may be over the winter, just because he's doing all the work with the good weather.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think it's good to do it in the winter
Yeah.
before you actually
Yeah,
entertain
so-
the project anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that, especially the windows, that's a big thing, we've been talking about that. Okay, so that's done. Jeff is here, so why don't we circle back on agenda item number 3, discussion on health and wellness beauty spas, hair salons regarding their permitted use and special permits. And Dave, I think you had made this request, okay?
So, you know, this has been on the agenda a few times for me. We definitely have our fair share in the community of health and wellness spas and beauty salons, and I think it's a wonderful benefit to the community and the broader community, but I think with regards to residents, the frequency by which we are entertaining those applications is exceeding certainly the interest or the demand from what I gather from many residents locally in the village. And the concern is that it'd be nice to see additional variety, whether or not that leads to restaurants or coffee shops or experience or retail, right? Other things that are permitted. So my thought is what's here now, I think is great. Absolutely, you know, love having the businesses in town, but I think moving forward, I'd like just simply to remove it as a permitted use or a special permit use in the TDD entirely, but also beyond that in the VCB, which would extend it past the TDD. So it would go down State Street, and then, I don't know if you have a zoning map easily available, but it expands it beyond just the TDD, right? And the objective, sorry, go ahead, yeah?
Can I ask for clarification? So what you're saying is that going forward, it will not be a permitted use? I just want to make certain.
That would be, my advice is we just simply remove it as a permitted use. So there are many items, if you look at the business districts and you go through, for example, you can't have first floor dwelling units in mixed use buildings in the VGB or the VCB. You can't have agricultural operations with retail sales in the VCB, TDD. And there's a list. Some of them are special permitted, some of them are just simply not available. And I would suggest we, for a period of time, until we feel there's a need and a demand and appropriate consideration, that we just remove it as a permitted use. It's pretty clear and straightforward, and I think it accomplishes the goal of getting additional variety in the community.
Have you reached out to any of those property owners, or, you know, like the chamber or other business owners?
So I don't think any property owner is going to be thrilled with this proposal at all. So the answer is no, because it's pretty clear. It's not a particularly, I don't think it'd be well received by either the owners of the buildings, nor necessarily the greater chamber. But I still think it's necessary to consider.
So anything that currently exists is grandfathered in, basically?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's what
Like,
that would
I don't
be.
think we're trying to remove in any way or express discontent with the availability of what we have now. I think it's just simply a question moving forward. How do we move toward additional retail, restaurant, and experience opportunities, or any other permitted use.
Okay, yeah, Lily?
I have a couple of questions, is that okay? To clarify, so what you're saying is that it would be indefinitely grandfathered, so they could transfer the property to another person, they could sell the property and it still be able to continue that use?
It's a pre-existing non-conforming use.
So it just stays.
All the rules that apply to those would apply to this one. There'd be a 6-month window that if it discontinued, it'd be gone.
It goes away.
Okay. Second, quick, because what strikes me first on the long range, looking long range, that if, two things. One, does it appear as if we're being arbitrary and capricious and against one type of business, or within our legal rights to do so? Second is people who have challenges or disability to be able to access, if they're all limited to second floor uses, how they would access the services. And should we maybe change it from, if we're considering this, change it from saying spas and wellness and so forth? Because I think it's sort of a trend and everything trends, and then after a period of time, it's sort of
There's
becomes
market
something.
dynamics and a shakeout sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, then it just hits its, wall of, popularity, and then it's another new day and something else is in and changes. To businesses, I'm trying to think of a very general term, that require an appointment or a use that requires an appointment. If that might be a more general way to quantify.
I think that's pretty restrictive.
Okay, because what it would say, because we don't allow medical offices, I tried to think of what would be, what would require an appointment?
Well, I guess, what I'm thinking is, I sort of believe in market dynamics, and really what you're seeing is the impact of the internet, because you can't get your hair done on the internet, you can't get your nails done on the internet. If you don't want to cook a meal, I guess you can order it, but I mean, you're starting to see, the dynamics play out, not just in our community, but all over, as we all know. So I'd rather look at this in terms of how do we incentivize rather than withdraw yet another use. If there's some other way we could look at that. And I'd rather reach out maybe, to the business owners, to the chamber, maybe to the property owners and say, look, we're all seeing the same thing. I've spoken with property owners who are like, I would never want to put in another salon, but I can't keep my business, the storefront vacant that long, and the salon comes in and then they put it in.
Right.
So can we maybe develop a list that we would like to see in those spaces and have some kind of incentive?
I just want to come maybe from a different place. I don't know.
So I understand your view. I don't think, well, let's get Jeff's opinion first on
Okay.
Lily's
Yeah,
first
but you're asking some good questions
Jeff,
about that.
I just thought it looked like it was prejudicial against a certain type.
It's arbitrary and capricious.
Yeah, but it's not, they're not a protected class.
That's true. Yeah.
It's not illegal to zone something out.
Okay,
So
okay, just want to make sure we were
Free
covered.
speech kind of things.
Okay,
So we don't allow in the BCB or the TDD, office or clinic or medical, or office, first use, mixed use buildings, daycare centers, instructional facilities. We have special permits on a number of things. We don't allow drive-through, temporary storage units. There's already things in the use that we're essentially saying we don't permit. And I think it's a very clear thing. Jeff, do you know anything that would allow incentives to encourage? Sure. Could you share with us a couple of those ideas that you?
Easiest one is a tax break.
A tax break.
Yeah.
So you have to offer a tax break that is sufficient to offset the premium that a salon or spa would pay for. So to get, let's say, restaurants, or to get any of the other uses, retail, coffee shop, in comparison to the higher premium and the lower risk generally that spas take, because they will outsource the individual hubs, right? The individual chairs usually. You're spreading the risk among many, and you have different ways to attract that capital to offset your risk of renting it initially. So for me, I think, just like we've done previously, we identify what the goals, what we want, and we restrict those things that we don't. And we just simply move to remove the special permit or the permitted use in the VCB and the TDD of, sorry, I'm just finding the specific,
If I can just interject.
personal service,
Okay.
shop, or spa.
Okay. I was thinking, the uses that are not allowed are uses, and you probably can weigh in on this, are uses that really deactivate
Yes,
our retail environment, like a storage or, medical office. The encouragement is to have those vibrant retail.
yes, and I thought of appointments is because
Yeah.
if you want to see an accountant, or you want to see a doctor, or you want to, all of those things require appointments,
Mhm.
and that's what you don't want on your first floor.
Right, it deactivates the
Yes,
area.
because you want the walkable and, in and out and so forth. So I wish there was an incentive for existing salons, wellness, so forth. I think that there's a blur there because they also, a lot of them sell product.
Yeah.
And some of them sell jewelry and they sell hair accessories and so forth. So they might not be specifically and exclusively hair salons. And in the wellness, it's all about selling product. Your person comes in
Yeah,
and
that's true.
and tries the scalp treatment or whatever, the brow, whatever, and then they're selling the product. So it's really sort of a proactive retail environment, retail in a different,
I don't disagree with that to the extent that we have them today. My disagreement is simply that we don't need more of that
Oh, okay.
opportunity for retail. And when you have restaurants or potentially bars or pubs or the daytime experience of retail shopping, right, density matters. Density matters. And if you have retail shop, spa, retail shop, right, for personal services, spa or boutique, right, we need to encourage property owners to price at a level that other entrants are what we would encourage in order to move to where we want to go. And right now, market forces are not working. This is the reason why there is a running joke in our community. We don't need another spa.
Yeah.
There is a
It's
running
also the
joke.
same thing in a lot of other.
Right,
Yeah,
so
I
let's
agree.
create.
We're not the only ones.
That's good, so let's create a law that's different.
So, hold on, I've got a couple comments. First of all, I agree with you, density is very important to retail. One shop brings in more people, brings in more people, they'll come here if they can go to 3 shops, I see that. But we also need traffic,
Hang on
and
one second, excuse me, please talk out in the hall. Steve, please talk out in the hall.
thanks, Steve. So, the spas, as much as I agree with you, there are lots of them, but it does bring people in, it brings women in that come into the bookstore, they go into chandeliers, women are shoppers. So it does bring women in. I agree, is there a way that we can, I like looking at the tax incentive. I'm just worried about restriction, because I hear from residents a lot, why are our storefronts empty? Why are storefronts empty? And if they hear that we now are restricting a business to come into our storefront, we're gonna hear, why are you now restricting businesses?
I would disagree. I think a resident would rather have an empty shop waiting for something other than another spa.
I don't think so.
The spot, the frequency and the number that we have today is absolutely in line with what you just said. It may be a little past that, right? That's why it's kind of a running joke, right? So I'm just going to go with a question to Jeff here. Jeff, can I make a motion based on what I just said tonight to,
I'd like to do more research.
well, I know, but I can make a motion. Can I make a motion to move forward with this and see where it goes? Or would it be a motion to direct you to write the code to remove the permitted use?
Way too early to do
I
that.
think you can make either motion, this is an agenda item.
Okay. So we'll see how it goes. I make a motion to remove the special permit or permitted use for, hang on just a second, personal service shop or spa in the VCB and the TDD.
Hang on,
May I
Dorothea.
speak? That's going to be a code change. That's going to require you to direct Jeff to create the code.
Right, but they'd have to set, So then the next step, if that was an affirmative, they'd have to set a public meeting or
Yeah,
hearing.
it's the whole,
So, right, but you, I mean, so the question that, or the motion is to change it. And if there's an affirmative vote, then we would then give them the next steps to follow.
okay, I just wanted to make sure, because it almost sounds like we're changing it without it.
And
No.
if it falls deaf, and we move forward with how do we do it with the second step. But I think this is the cleanest. It's the most likely to get the results that you want, or that we want, I think, as a community. And some may say we don't want it, but I think more retail, more restaurants, more experience opportunities in the evening and during the day, besides personal service and spas, is something in the community I would like to see.
Okay,
So we need a second
okay.
before we have discussion, right?
Yeah, so,
Okay,
So is there a second?
that's what I wanted to bring up, if we consider amending the motion at this time.
Well, I'll let it fall deaf, and then we can go with the second motion and see what can we accomplish with regards to this. But I'm okay letting that motion fall deaf. I just want to be on record saying I think it's a clean, easy consideration.
okay, you're on record, okay. We have a
Because we
motion.
don't have a second, right?
No, not at this point.
Okay,
Okay, we
Moving on.
have no second, motion fails. Yes, Lily?
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm glad that, somebody was clear on the process. And that is, would maybe a next step be for us to examine and find out exactly how many spas and wellness we have
Research.
in the village right now? How they are operating, do they include retail also as part of their business model? Because we would want to know that. I think because I'm seeing, there's a trend also for combined businesses, if you will, with retail, with a cafe inside,
Mhm.
or retail with a hair salon in the corner. So some of those things, maybe we could examine and put the incentive on combined businesses. Somebody who wants to begin
a new form of business.
to transform their wellness spa into also a
So
part-time bookstore, something, a marriage
have a bookstore.
of
the
some sort.
existing spas and salons and personal services, I'm not trying to in any way interfere with the success that they have and their current permitted uses, and I want them to be grandfathered indefinitely. It's what's next that comes into our community that I want to try to positively change. So if the first motion falls deaf, fine. Then the next motion should be to encourage creating a different line item that is maybe a little bit more uniquely worded, that allows for what we might want, which could be retail inclusion of significance in that personal service use, spa or otherwise. But I think leaving it alone as is a mistake.
Okay.
I
Yeah, okay.
I have to agree with that, because you don't want to be any particular business heavy, whatever that business is.
We all understand that. I mean, we're not disagreeing, you know,
Yes.
it's not
It's
about
just how do we do
that.
it?
It's
how
not
do we
about
do
that,
it?
because I've heard you use
How do we
the
get our
word
goals?
of, removing, and then I've heard you use the word, how do we encourage? By removing, I'm not sure what we're encouraging.
Everything.
And so I circle back to, we need a little more hard data, we need a little more research. I really think it would be good to reach out to our chamber and say, we're looking at this as a board. Can you guys help, let's all work together. Maybe there's something we can come up with. I think it's more on the research end. I'm not ready to start getting rid of stuff yet. I think we really need to have a little bit of a shoulder drop and say, we all recognize this. We really do, Dave, and I get it. But it's the approach, it's let's get a little more information, get some more data. I like your idea of let's talk to some of these existing businesses, really, what are they doing? Because you're right, they're selling product,
Yes.
there's not just the one thing.
There are businesses specifically down in Northfield Common
Mhm.
that when I visit them and look at what they're offering, I visualize them more on Main Street than in Northfield
Mhm.
Common. That's the feel, and that's what we would like to have on Main
Mhm.
Street.
Yeah.
Why isn't that happening? Why are they choosing Northfield Common instead of Main Street? I'm going to be specific here.
I think it's cheaper.
I think we have to look
Yeah,
at the rents.
I think you're right.
I think it's
And business, especially like the spas and the beauty salons, they do by chair rental.
Mhm.
So those businesses that are able to function on Main Street are ones that are able what's the word I want to, that you're subletting inside your business.
they're renting a
So you're
share.
making your own rent. I think that that's a part of it, and so the landlords also need to be a part of the conversation.
Yep.
And to be, maybe encouraged by tax, breaks or whatever we can.
So that's
We can
my,
do it.
so that's my
Yeah.
question, I haven't still had it answered. Jeff, are we legally able to offer tax breaks or some kind of incentive?
Yeah.
We are able to do that.
Yes.
So we can single out certain businesses and
Research
say, if we put a coffee shop in our village, you get a tax break. We can single out certain types of businesses and do that legally? And what does that cost? Is there a
Call
name
it
for
tax
that?
break.
It's just called, like by singling out though, by listing certain businesses that we're going to offer tax breaks to and some that
It's
we
just
won't.
called a tax incentive.
Tax incentive, okay.
Yeah, Dorothea?
Not to discourage tax incentives, and this is now the treasurer speaking. It depends on the percentage you're looking, and you're only going to be based off your village tax, which isn't going to be a huge chunk. It could be, if, let's say you said 10%, and say, I don't have a particular property, but if it's 2,500 they pay a year in taxes, it's $250.
Yeah.
So is it really an incentive? I mean, I don't know if that's a way to.
That's something to research and look at and
Yeah,
create that dialogue.
Will it change that?
I like the idea of creating the dialogue, as you say, with the landlords, with businesses, to say, we're all looking at the same thing, this isn't a shock, and then maybe come back, with a little more information on this and how to approach.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
was there grants available to rejuvenate urban centers?
Yeah, well, there is, but yes, the short answer would be yes.
Main Street USA.
Yeah, there's Main Street, and then there's also the, what is it, the DRI, the development,
To
something.
incentivize
Mhm.
businesses to come in in some way. I'm not really creative enough to come up with that off the top of my head. If you've got money in the game that's not yours, then you could use it to attract the businesses.
Yeah, and we can also reach out to the Genesee Regional Planning Council, because they also, work with funding for businesses.
Okay.
But, typically, a lot of that is directed to blighted communities that need to redevelop and revitalize their downtown centers. So more often than not, as a village, we don't fit that criteria. But there may be some other opportunities that is probably worth researching and circling back on now. Yeah.
So I just want to, again, say there's absolutely nothing that I have a concern with the existing businesses. I think it's great. It's really just about where we're moving forward. So I make a motion to instruct the administration to do the research that they referenced tonight in order to bring this back to the board in a month.
I second.
We have a second. Is there additional discussion? Justin, you've been quiet.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good discussion. I think there's, I've heard a lot of interest in diversifying the retail and the business environment of the village. I clearly don't have any personal use for hair salons since I don't have any hair. But aside from that, I guess.
Two of our men on the board.
Now we know the real reason.
Okay.
But I guess, I'm not to the point of regulating this through zoning, because of the fact that we're buying a lot of things on the internet and I'm not sure what else is going to go in there. I'd be interested in exploring this, and, incentives might be, especially if there's some kind of a grant, I think that sounds good. I'm not sure if we're to the point where we can really delegate this effectively to the office staff, because I don't know if we've really parameterize what it is that we're looking for. Maybe if we could discuss that some more and figure out, what kind of a specific deliverable there is, then that might be helpful.
Yeah, I'm thinking too of, the idea of reaching out, to the chamber and some of the property owners that are having difficulties. Maybe we can bring them in on, start a dialogue there, and maybe have some interaction coming in and talking to the board. They may have some ideas that,
Maybe a coffee and conversation.
maybe a coffee and conversation. Let's
So
do that.
I would like to make a
We
comment.
can get our nails done, we can get mani-pedis.
When I first came on the board, I was very gung-ho on trying to get together a village association, a village chamber specific, within any way I could, whether it was just through the village, whether it was through the chamber. I tried and tried, it just never, the chamber wasn't really interested in separating the needs of the village businesses with the needs of the whole town. I truly think there is a definite separation, and I think that we need some kind of focus group that can focus on the village businesses. I think that we have lots of issues. Parking is one, right? Accessibility, getting in and out of the village is not as easy as going down Monroe Avenue and hopping into the, Pittsford Plaza. So I think that our village businesses deserve special attention and a group that really can hone in on really what our needs are in our businesses in the center of here and in the Shane Place.
Yeah, the chamber, I don't know if you're aware, they started a subcommittee for the merchants called Shop 14534. And what I'm thinking now, maybe we should have something like a coffee and conversation or something where,
Invite them to.
yeah, and the residents, let's talk about this. I mean, we all, you're right. I mean, you trip over a hair salon and then you get your nails done and then,
So Mayor,
We're all
what is
seeing
this?
it.
What is this 14534? I haven't heard anything
It's a
about it.
subcommittee that is geared to, they do incorporate Pittsford Plaza, but it's really geared to the merchants here in the village and how do they create that identity of, because everything in the village is really about a niche market.
And do you know who leads that?
Hmm?
Do you know who leads that? Is there a
It's
chair?
the chamber, Sherry Grugel.
Sherry.
Yep, she's president of the chamber. Mhm. So, I'm thinking maybe we pull it in that way.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that would be a good start. I just wanted to also echo what Lisa was saying. I really agree that there are parts of the chamber does really great work for a lot of businesses. I think that structurally, they don't always align with the residents' interests in the village. It's more similar to the representation and the governmental structure in the town. And I think that there's definitely a gap between some of the perspectives they would advocate and what I would hear from a lot of village residents, which is why we have the village. So I think that, something independent or perhaps a subcommittee, if done in certain ways, could be beneficial to the village.
Well, that should be brought up, I think, in a forum. I think that would be helpful,
Sure.
Because obviously it's open to the residents as well. Yeah, Lily, did you have another comment?
No.
Oh, okay, we're just moving around. Okay, so,
So we have an open motion that would require the administration or ask the administration to put together information about the existing salons, the services outstanding, whether or not it's retail and personal services or not. If you guys don't think that you want to advance to get that done, my question is who's doing it?
Well,
How do we move this forward?
I'm sorry, yeah, but I'm thinking part of moving it forward is what I'm hearing, from the other trustees as well, is the idea of maybe, prior to even doing that, would be to engage the community, whether it's a coffee, you said coffee and conversation, or some kind of a forum where we do talk about what does our retail environment look like going forward in the village. We're recognizing we're getting a lot of the same types of businesses. Let's have property owners weigh in, residents weigh in, chamber, let's do something where we open it up.
So we need a lead agency, though. So are we depending on the chamber to do this, or are we going to pull together our own advisory
Well, I'm
committee?
liaison to the chamber. Why don't I reach out to the chamber?
Okay.
I'll see where they are. I think that they would be interested, frankly.
Well, I
I
thought
do.
they would too, but again, it's been a year and a half and I haven't seen anything done on
Mhm.
this. So, and I've tried to make connections and I've been left out of the loop. So I don't particularly think that they have an interest in separating the village from the town.
Mhm.
I think there is a definite need. So if you would like to
So
reach out to the village.
yeah, let me
or
reach
the
out. I'll
chamber,
reach
that'd be
out,
great. Okay.
and let's see, and what I'll do, frankly, is I'll let Dorothea know and she can let the board know
Okay.
what their ideas are, because now it's just internal administrative stuff to maybe set some dates if they wanted to say, yeah, let's all do this and engage the community. I don't see a downside to that,
No, I think it's all.
I think that there isn't, I think it's an opportunity, frankly.
The
for our
only downside
community.
would be the continuously waiting for this to happen. So
Mhm.
let's try to put something on the books, try to get a date so that we can make sure that this happens.
And that is exactly what I just said.
That's perfect.
Thank you for
Thank you for
echoing
that.
my sentiments. So I have
You're
an
gonna get it
action
done.
item.
Awesome.
You
After
bet.
which,
The mayor's on the case.
after which, it may be, after residents weigh in and we have all the information, it may be discovered that indeed, we do have an overabundance of spas and beauty salons, and that is the perception. We don't want to be labeled in the larger community as Pittsburgh, the land of spas, you know. We
I
want
would
to
like
be
to be-
identified as a diverse, vibrant community that offers variation on their goods and services, so.
Well, Brockport is land of pizza and wings because of the university. In other words, every village kind of
Yes.
has its own thing that, you know,
Has-
that they're struggling with, that they're just sort of stuck with the same.
And we may walk away, and
Well, we have
then we have,
falafel too.
then we have the
A
data
lot of good
and the
writing.
input and the background to then justify any change in the code.
Right.
That's
I think
what,
we
that
already-
will be what's driving it.
I appreciate everybody's comments. I think we already have the background. It's what we have now. I think where we want to go is different. And I think we have to encourage that by having a clean break from the permitted use. I look forward to the results of your work, and I firmly support anything that moves forward.
Okay, great. So we have an action item. Okay.
No, we can't.
We don't, we
We
can't,
gotta-
we
We
don't.
have a motion and a second. We have
Oh, we
to have-
still have the motion and second. So
Given the new conversation today, after my motion, could I request the vote first?
Sure.
Nay.
nay, he
We
whinnied.
still have to go through the whole.
Yes.
Thank you, though. Trustee Coe.
What if I say yes?
You can vote your mind.
No, I think we're going to have to get more
Trustee
information.
Lampier.
No, we'll wait for more information.
Trustee Lightgev.
No.
Mayor Plummer.
No, okay.
Motion passed.
Okay. All right, moving on. Let's see. Oh, that's right, this is an hour behind. Okay, so,
I know.
yeah, I know, sort of
We
off
need to fix that.
kilter,
I think we need to fix
the clock, yeah. Just, well, let's see, we're not ready for the public hearing here. Okay, so, discussion on the R5 zone and timeline, a lot of discussions.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to bring these things back.
Good, I like it, I
No,
like
it's
it.
all good.
All right, so this is the R5 zone, the zone that exists on a singular property we know as 75 Monroe. Yeah, obviously, you haven't broke ground. I think we're in a process where there's some things still moving forward with regards to permitting. Do you know that? And so the question is should something not move forward, what would it be that we want? We've talked about this before. We got busy in the summertime, but we're bringing it back, where what I'd like to do is try to figure out the extent by which we want things like those that are currently embedded in the mixed-use Erie Canal, and to the extent that we want things that are more residential in character, considering the existing residential zones. And do we want to have a combined type zone or pick one or the other, right? If we pick only residential, the nature of the development that could occur, if different than what's been approved by our independent boards, would be very different, right? And so the question that I'm trying to arrive at is, do we want to do some work to create a different zone, or do we want to just pick one that exists today and apply it? We ended this 4 months ago with the idea of, you guys send me any ideas that you have, and then I'll try to put it together using the 2 existing codes and the feedback that I have so we can start a discussion. Right now, it's just me bringing it back to remind us we have work to do, I think.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I would like to say that I know, I think it may be problematic, and maybe Steve, you might have some information on this, about actually going to strictly to a different type of residential relative to the remediation that has been done in the brownfield. Maybe Susan, you remember some? I can remember there was a concern about putting in single-family homes with basements, that they couldn't be monitored properly for, it became very problematic.
Yeah, I remember that same
Right? Isn't there
consideration.
something, do you remember anything about that?
If in fact
I
that,
do remember, but I think it might have changed because it's been so many years since the remediation. The problem was that with low-grade use of residential
Right,
use.
and I do know that even with the parking garages, with the current design,
Yeah,
they have all these, they have air exchangers, I mean, there's monitoring,
barriers.
so there's additional ongoing remediation.
Yeah.
And I know that became probably something, you guys
So
maybe remember that.
I
just
agree.
wanna-
Yeah, I
Bring that
agree. It would be hard, right?
Yeah.
My understanding
Mhm.
is there was a degree of ventilation that the remediation
Yeah.
was to a certain level. I also respect the property owner's opportunity to develop particularly multifamily housing in an area that I'm not suggesting in this conversation that I don't want, right? What I'm suggesting is what we want was, there was a code that was created close to the time of the original application that I think is uniquely different, that if we started over today, that we would want tomorrow. So the question is do we want to take an opportunity to fix it, right? And do we want it to bleed beyond just the existing R5 zone and incorporate across the street or the existing office park? How does that look overall? And I think the right response is something where we're looking at the entrance to the village, both on the north and the south side of the bridge, to have some degree of continuity and feel, rather than right now on the left side where Forsyth is and Talbot's, it's mixed-use Erie Canal, and to the right side, it's the R5 unique zone. And maybe it still makes sense to have that differentiation, but if that's the case, the R5 zone doesn't have a pier, right? It doesn't have a match.
Just spot.
So maybe the right thing is to create a zone that is unique to that entrance to the village, that may not be and shouldn't be, I don't think, with the intent to replace Shane Place. And so maybe it's something similar to the mixed-use Erie Canal, but not exactly, right?
I don't know that it would replace Shane Place. I sort of think that's kind of a red herring almost, because Shane Place is absolutely iconic
Yeah.
and unique
Yeah.
and historic. And so whatever would happen with whatever the zoning is, even if it's an MUEC, would be essentially of its time. Just the way the Talbot's building,
Right,
frankly.
But I don't
was.
think you're talking about replacing it historically and
But
I think you're talking about pulling
negating the other.
business from Shane.
I think that it would just support and enhance the community, the
Right.
idea that you have more places to shop and spend money, potentially,
And so I think this is the question, right?
Yeah.
Do we just simply say, hey, the mixed-use Erie Canal, we have great boards and support that can work with developers to create an appropriate environment for our community, right? Both from a historical preservation standpoint and a planning board, and working within the zoning board and whatever new zone gets applied, right? And so do we go that route of it just simply being mixed-use Erie Canal and broadening the experience along the canal?
Yeah, contiguous, and it allows for residential use, which is
It does.
permitted in the MUEC,
And it allows for
but other things as well.
housing options. So let's talk for a moment.
Really.
Everything is scale, no matter what it
No
is,
matter what.
no matter what they use.
Yes, it needs.
It's all
There
about
you go,
scale.
the mass
And that's-
and scale.
And that's where we lost it.
And so the other piece of this, though, and I'm glad you brought that up, is the Village Green Office Park.
Mhm.
Because that could potentially be an opportunity to be adaptively reused
Amazing.
for housing. Because what is so interesting now, even now as it's been built, it has the appearance of low-level housing and sort of a
Oh, yes, it's
A little
quality,
community.
patio
you
homes.
know? And it's kind of nice because it's adjacent now to the real estate building that's being repurposed.
Beautiful.
And it could really create just a
One
very,
level for people to age in
Yeah.
place, they can have,
kind
right.
of a cool environment, and you still have access to everything. So I agree, it's an opportunity to look at it really holistically that way.
Yep.
You
So my
know?
question is
Yeah.
though, since we have an active plan in process,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
If we start to move on, making this whole change or looking and doing research on that, and then this plan goes forward, then all that time is wasted?
It's, not wasted, but it would be a pre-existing non-conforming.
Right, so that would
Like, it would be
interrupt
that,
whatever
right? Jeff, it would
our
just
great
be that.
research, or our great,
So I don't honestly think this has to be that complicated.
Yeah.
And to the conversation about the Erie Canal District and broadening it, and to Lily's comment that the mixed-use Erie Canal can include residential, it can include boutique hotels.
Sure.
Right now, we're going down this path, my understanding of sort of perspectives with short-term rentals, where we need opportunities for people, and we want to encourage businesses to come in with regards to boutique hotels or places to stay, and right along the Erie Canal, creating that environment, whether or not it's in that location, across the street, or a new opportunity, on Shane Place or Shane Place, right? But I think, so I tend to feel confident that in applying the broad and mixed-use Erie Canal, that while it does put at risk some sort of spread of opportunity, I think that spread of opportunity creates actually opportunities to work with our different boards to create an environment that would be unique and engaging for our broader community. So,
Better option.
yeah, so my question to the board here tonight is very simple, and then we got a public hearing, which is, do we feel comfortable bringing it to a public hearing for the next step of asking, would you guys agree, the community at large, in having this be a mixed-use Erie Canal zone, if something were to not be developed moving forward? And if not, why? And what would you want to see instead?
So we're kind of preparing, just kind of doing some legwork, just to get a feel and get a sense, a pulse of the community on this,
I think we want to bring this forward and have it
sooner than later.
be
Well, it should
supported.
be spoken for the public, yeah.
Yeah, right,
Yeah, for sure. You
absolutely.
need the public input,
Right,
yeah.
but
Why wait?
we're already halfway there, right? So Talbot's and Forsyth is already there.
Yeah, we've
It's
had
just
these
crossing the street.
discussions. I mean, is that something you folks would be interested in? Let's pull the board.
Yeah.
Comes back to the board.
Yeah.
Yes, very much
Okay,
so.
so there we go. Have
Great.
your answer.
So what's next, Jeff?
What's next is I'm just doing some math here on MUEC, and with the current lot, I haven't gotten to building heights yet. You can have, you could have about 120 units in there. You would have to subdivide what's there into 10 lots, 12 lots. Then you could have 10 units per lot, and the maximum height to get those 10 units per whatever that is, 0.6 acres, point whatever acres. Maximum building height is 3 stories. So you've got a 3-story, you could have whatever configuration, but of 10 stories within a 0.6 acre, 0.7 acre, something like that. You'd have to think about that if that's what you wanted. I mean, I'm just looking at.
Yeah, I know, I see where you're
I
going.
don't understand.
I see where you're going.
They're not, I mean, there couldn't be 120 units, in 3 stories probably, because that would be over the max density. Because you can only have 10 units per 3,600 square feet.
Okay.
How about if we,
So that, I mean, that's a consideration.
Yeah.
That's not really that's not that dense. It's about, what is it? Well, it's only 30 units less than what they're contemplating right now.
I know.
But they're contemplating that in a different way, which would be limited to 10 per 3,600 square feet.
see, it's interesting because we're dealing with undeveloped land,
Yeah.
and so there's different consequences
Yeah.
when we apply when we apply the criteria, so.
But you'd have the same considerations, it would just be a different density of what's
Right.
got going right now.
It would be, yeah.
Can we bring density down?
Well, what I think,
That's the question. Do you want to
Yeah,
I mean,
have UBC density, or you want to have something lower?
but I think you can address that independently, meaning, if,
Well, you'd have
I don't
to,
know.
then you have to change your,
You have to change the requirements in the MUEC.
right,
The
right. So
dimensional
I think the
requirements.
zoning change
Mhm.
could be for the entire zone if we felt like it was too
And then
dense.
adding that in, okay.
So you could expand, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, you're on a roll.
Yeah, I was just saying you could expand the MUEC what's currently applied for could be built. There's nothing interfering with that with regards to this, unless they choose not to build. Then the question is what moves forward from there,
What could happen?
right?
So, yeah, I guess what I was saying is that if you wanted to move MUEC in there in case nothing gets built under the current proposal, then you ought to be sure that that's what you want in terms of.
And that's where I'm going,
and
so,
building height and all that stuff. And that's just a purely trustee decision.
and that's sort of doing the math, and what would it look like for that to be developed in an undeveloped parcel?
Mhm.
Applying that criteria, is that something the board wants? We may want to sort of play around with some models of that, like what really would that look like?
So why don't
And
we-
bring it back to the board to make sure we're really,
I have a wild,
and then maybe we tweak it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I just plugged it into ChatGPT and it gave us some suggestions for modifying MUEC to be a
Our
little
new
bit less
friend.
dense, yeah.
I think if you could develop a vision of what you want,
Yeah,
if that doesn't get developed, then I think it might be time to get a session with a planner just to get some ideas of what's possible, given, how do you arrive at what your vision is,
Yeah. So let's
floating-wise?
maybe take that and then just have this conversation about mixed-use Erie Canal in general. We have a comprehensive plan that has unique opportunities with regards to broad redevelopment of Shown Place, right? And the considerations that we're talking about here with regards to R5, should it not develop as permitted, or as approved, not that permitted by the boards. The question is the same considerations we need to think about broadly, overall. So why don't we just do this? Why don't we just put R5 review and discussion in our next board meeting? And we all spend our time. This is, if anybody in the community has some comments with regards to this conversation, send them our way. That'd be great to know and think about. But I think the question is the mixed-use Erie Canal code established in a way that we're encouraging what we want across the entirety of the canal, and where are the risks, and how might we want to address them?
I'm interested in what you're doing with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I really am. Would
I'll
that
send
be
it to the
something
board.
that you could,
I'll
help
send it to
us
the
with
board
that,
right now.
Justin? That would be kind of great to see different modeling,
Yeah.
Because I think that's really where this is going, It's not just broad brush, let's just expand MUEC.
Decide what it is that you want.
Let's go up to 10,000 feet and look at the consequences.
It may be a different one
Yeah.
that's down at Shane Place.
Could be like MUEC 2.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Prime.
Something to,
Call it prime.
yeah, just differentiate.
Yeah,
So to that end, I think, I agree, this speaks to that entrance, that corridor coming into the village. And again, to the existing R5 and across the street, the gas station, maybe the office park, you could have a zone that is, here's where we'd like to go.
So good.
yeah, no, I think we're saying the same thing
Yeah.
all together, and I think we now kind of have
Yep.
the game plan going forward, so we can bring it back on the next agenda.
Mhm.
Everybody, let's all weigh in. ChatGPT can be part of the
So
plan. Do we want to direct Jeff to do anything?
I haven't heard anything
I
yet.
think so, yeah.
Well, do we? Or are we just kind of coming up with, still in the idea formulation?
I think it's going
Okay.
to be easiest for you to focus on what you want.
Mhm.
It's really hard to walk away from the meeting and then 5 of you try to figure out what it is
Right.
you want.
Mhm.
I'm going to say it again, you may want to just talk
To
to a
plan.
planner you trust,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you kind of start bouncing ideas, and they could give you the current view of what might or might not work in allocation.
I agree, but where I'm going with the ChatGPT is, I like the idea of, as it exists, if we apply the MUEC right now, with all those criteria, let's load it in, and what do we come up with?
Right.
What would that look like? And then, okay, is that what we want? No, or yes, or
Right.
some
So
portion.
then we do a derivative of it if it is.
Yeah, it's just a point of departure. I think
Sure.
it sets the direction in some fashion, that's all.
So then are we
Yeah.
asking Justin to do that
I
and bring
think
it
we
back
might.
to the next meeting? with
Yeah, I already
what they
sent it to
come
the
up
board, so.
Oh, great,
I've got a couple
okay.
of suggestions for problems.
It's already on it.
This is it, yeah.
with? Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's
see,
exciting.
I think that'd be great, because then it's a starting point.
Great, thank you, Justin.
And do we modify the MUEC or come up with, a hybrid as
Yeah, I like
everybody's discussing?
That's
And
exciting, that's
Okay.
really exciting.
I like the idea of talking to the planner definitely
Yeah.
at some point. Okay, next up, it's after 6, oh, yep. I'm
Steve
sorry.
had something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious, if it was changed MUEC, does that make 75 Monroe non-existing, non-conforming?
It depends whether 75 Monroe is built.
No, it's already on the table. It's already approved, it's on the table. So if you changed it to MUEC, and they built it, would it be pre-existing non-conforming?
Yeah.
Yes. No?
Yeah, it's no change to that.
Yeah.
There's no change to the existing application.
Welcome to the village. We're pre-existing and now.
It's a sensitive situation already.
Understood,
We're aware.
The whole bit.
understood.
We're aware.
Okay, moving on, we have a public hearing, and it's after 6 o'clock, and this is for the special permit for 14 South Main Street. Hello, hello, let's bring up a chair, let's pull a chair around here or something. Yeah. How are you?
Good, how are you? Jason Pierce.
Hi, Jason. Yep, so is there any questions from the board for Jason? Before we open the hearing?
Thank you. They're not in any particular order, they're just randomly popping up. How do you get your food deliveries? Is it a big Cisco truck, what kind of truck just brings your supplies?
There will be large trucks, but it's a variety, because we have different suppliers. But yeah, there are larger trucks that come.
Okay, and so my presumption is that they cannot pull in the parking lot, that they would have to park in the street and unload in the street.
I haven't checked that out for myself, but I'm sure that however it worked in the past with the previous restaurants, it would be the same
Okay.
delivery system.
Yeah, they used to park in the center of Main Street there, I believe, because remember when Hicks's was running, they used to have the truck.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I thought.
And it was always very early deliveries, I think. I'm trying to remember what it was, remember?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah, I mean,
Church Street too.
if you're talking about like Palmer's or something like that, they come really early.
So, sorry to interrupt, just a minute. This is 14 South Main?
14 South Main.
Yep.
So, Jason, I'm just looking at the application, we have Mark's name and we have Charlie's name. Are you?
I'm just here on behalf of Mark because he's up in Toronto.
Okay, you're here on behalf of Mark and sent in a thing saying you can represent Mark. Okay, that all makes sense. So then you're from the restaurant's perspective, correct? Correct. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. The trash, do you have a plan for pickup? So, the reason I bring it up is that you'll notice where the trash is placed is quite close proximity to residential, it's in that back corner. So we're sensitive to the timing of when your trash is emptied at night, especially if there are bottles and so forth, and the noise level. And also when the pickup, we have ordinances regarding the timing, and are you aware of what those are?
I'm not, but I mean, we would obviously work within.
Yeah, and Steve you can work with Steve on
Yeah,
that.
we would obviously work within those and work with the pickup service.
Okay. Previous restaurant uses in this location have had no right turn signs placed to the entryway of the parking lot. As you're aware, there's two entryways closest to Main Street, and then the next one, I don't know whether it's,
I don't think
but
that's
it's,
open anymore.
so there was a traffic pattern established, but there was signage that did not permit any left turn from that parking lot. So
On the
when-
Church Street you're talking about?
Mhm.
Okay.
So as the
ESL has it.
patrons would leave, they would exit and onto Main Street rather than turning down Church Street.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and it's just because there's residences down there. I think it's nothing more than directing traffic into more of a commercial area to just exit.
So that's a site plan.
There was a site
Yeah.
plan.
So that's not special permit.
Okay,
Yeah, but that's a
I
sign.
just-
Your lot, I'm the village attorney, your lot has to be in compliance with site plan in order for this board to grant you a special permit. So if the board is inclined to grant this permit, it's got to be subject to compliance with site plan. And actually, I've got a copy here. I can give it to you if you want. It's very hard, sorry, it's very hard to read. Steve, is there a larger one around somewhere, do you know?
You'll probably print one off.
But that shows specific signage, the height of the signs, the size of the signs that have to be installed at both exits. It's the one that's further east that is exit only, and then turn right to go on Main Street. The one further west is enter only.
Understood.
And that's currently on the site plan, that's current.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's,
Not been changed, but it's got to be compliant with that site.
Does that, I don't foresee changing anything. Or
So
asking.
you'd have to go to
asking-
plan.
I don't foresee asking to change anything. Let's make it as easy as possible.
You'd have to go to planning board if you wanted to change that.
yeah, I mean, if you accept it as it currently stands, without any amendment, then, okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you want to change it, it's going to the planning board.
And would that reference the trash and the trash pickup times too?
I don't know, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It does not. So that's a special permit condition.
And did we have the question answered for this board regarding proximity to residential and the 100-foot?
I don't have the answer. I don't know if Steve does.
And what was the question?
My question is that according to our code, we need a 100-foot buffer between residential and restaurant use.
I don't think it's restaurant use, it's pub use, taverns. I don't think there was a reference to restaurants that I saw. It's always
It's a restaurant.
Restaurant.
It's
Always
always
been a
been a
restaurant.
restaurant. That's.
Yeah, there's a new one.
Oh, I see what you're saying, it would be for a pub,
Yeah, it's not-
and this is a restaurant, is that what you're
It's a
saying?
restaurant.
Steve, I'm sorry, Jeff?
No, it's a restaurant, too, Steve.
Restaurants.
It's in the restaurant, 26 point whatever it is. It's 100 feet.
I understand the code that you're talking about is the state liquor authority. I think is
Yes.
that what you're
Yeah,
referencing?
for a pub.
Yeah, no, we also have a village code regarding the proximity of restaurant uses, don't we? I might not be remembering that.
No, you do.
Yeah,
Actually, I
Dorothea.
do remember
Dorothea.
this because it goes back to when Saha went in. Matter of fact, Rusty Galusha brought it up at the time, and it was within that 100 feet, but it was felt with the buffering, with the arborvitae's and the other
Okay.
things
Oh, with the
that would
plantings.
soften it, that it was okay at that time.
That's right.
There was
with
also-
This is, remember, this is a new code.
I'm just going back to what I said, back to when
This is
Saha
a
went
new
in.
code.
Yeah, that was, then the code changed,
So,
Right.
yeah.
And since that time, we've had a change in use from
Yeah,
the Masonic Lodge to residential. So I didn't know if that changed also because of the proximity.
that would
Previous-
be the one thing that would change. Yeah. That would be what should be examined.
yep,
That's what I,
Which would prevent any kind of restaurant there, correct? Which
pretty
really
much. That doesn't
There
make
have to
sense.
be,
That
Does not make sense.
hinders
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Hang on, we're checking.
Existing or proposed features of the site would mitigate any potential adverse effect or nuisance to residential property.
Existing or proposed, what was that again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch the very
Proposed
first.
features of the site
Okay,
that would mitigate.
Yeah. And this is interesting too, because if you read that, it's as though the site already exists, or not already exists, will be developed. For example, the proposed site,
mhm,
this
So
is a
it's
proposed
already existing,
use,
right? It's
right?
already
It's a use,
existing.
not a site.
Well, yeah, but the use is going to be on the site, so you got to have,
Okay, so then if we take
Connected.
that, then it continues on and says more than 100 feet or situated.
right, Right.
So
there's a
there's
specific,
there's an out.
there is a specific, but there's got to be more than just this board thinks that. There has to be, you have to point to specific site features.
and the last time, when you were saying with Saha, that was the landscaping features that created both the buffer.
Right,
Yeah.
so the question is whether or not, that, in my mind, that would be whether or not there is buffering, depending on where the new residential lot is in relation to this lot,
Mhm.
linear feet wise,
Slot line to lot line.
lot line. If that's 100 feet, then there's got to be buffering.
Okay,
Something that this board could hang its hat on and say yes.
right, because where you have the entrance and the exit to your lot, in between, there's a grass, like a median, not a median, but there's an area there that could potentially become planted out to be a buffer, is that?
Well, something different, it's going to be difficult because it can't be within 3 feet. If it's higher than 3 feet, it can't be within how many inches of it? It can't be there at all, right? So it can't be higher than 3 feet.
Technically, by the code now.
Well, can buffering be something other than visual? So for example, the turning to the right is a buffering of the impact of the restaurant and use on the adjacent property. It doesn't necessarily have to be visual.
Oh, interesting.
Could be a fence.
A 3-foot
It
fence?
still can't be higher than 3 feet.
No, the fence, I don't know if the fence, it depends on how you consider that. I mean, I guess it was.
It's a side lot, really.
Yeah, it's a side.
It's
Oh.
a side.
So we have to demonstrate that existing or proposed features of the site, it doesn't say landscaping, features. So this is signage, redirecting traffic, it's moving the trash possibly west away from the property rather than to the existing corner that's in. Right, so right now it's as far from the restaurant as possible in the back right corner, right? That could be moved toward the restaurant if we felt that was mitigating something. I don't know, just throwing out ideas.
It's really about, we're talking about the residents across the street.
Yeah, it's not a-
That's what we're talking about.
The dumpster enclosures next
That's-
to the asphalt parking.
That's like, not a
It
thing.
is,
Yeah, it's not a thing.
yeah.
So it's really addressing,
Oh, Steve, I'm sorry, Mayor.
no, but it's just really, I think, addressing what's happening across the street, just because of the change of use in that to
How
residents.
far is it from the eastern lot line of 14 South Main Street to the nearest residence on the north side, Church Street? You know what I'm saying, past ESL?
It's all the way across the asphalt parking lot.
100 feet or 100?
Yeah, that's 100 feet, and you're at least 100 feet away from the closest home,
Yeah,
but not property lines.
It's probably, how many feet from the property line?
25.
It's right
Yeah.
there, Jeff.
Well, it's gotta be more than that.
It's
No, it goes
here.
right up
House is
against it.
way far
It
back.
goes right up against it.
Right there, that's the property line of that house, right there,
Oh, I must have had the wrong lot on the zoning lot.
yeah, and right there.
Zach, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure that the Masonic Temple was residential at the same time that the Panther Pit was in operation, right?
I don't think so.
Was there an overlap?
What was the Panther Pit?
That was what leads to.
No, I don't. When was it? Before 2018?
It was after.
2017,
The Panther Pit?
2017?
No, it wasn't that long ago. Was Sahas back then, then it went to
Saham
Blades.
was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But
Saham,
then it went to Blades, then it went to.
no, it went to Panther Pit.
Panther Pit,
Then it went
then
to
Blaze. Blaze was the last one,
Yeah,
Blades, yeah, was the last.
right,
yeah, Panther Pit was in between.
for 5 minutes.
Just out of curiosity, Jeff, did you know that value was changed in the code in 2018, or was it there previous?
I don't think it was there previously. I have the code, I can check.
I was curious if that value got changed in the 2018, or if it was
I
always
think
there.
we're tightening up the distances.
So we need to come up with something that's workable on that side.
And it then has to be subject to site plan approval. for
Right.
Changing the site.
Well,
Is there an aerial image of the south side of that property up on the sidewalk closest to Church Street that you're looking at? Is there an
They just had
actual?
it up.
yeah, just, sorry, I got so many things up right now.
We've got a tree lawn, but that's public right of way, but between the parking lot
There's
and
a
the
green
sidewalk.
sward, there is landscaping strip
There's a
that
strip
is
there.
between the parking lot and the sidewalk.
That's what I'm thinking,
You're
they
talking
can
about
do
this here?
something with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that if you could suggest, require as part of the permit that they have a buffering of vegetation in that inside, right? And that part of the mitigating of the adverse impact is the unidirectional turning
Yeah,
that already exists as part of the site plan.
can we hang our hat on that?
I think that's,
Yeah, but how are you gonna get those plants to live right next to the street? So,
Weeds seem to be.
No, no,
Oh, you can put in salt tolerant plants.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Yeah, I've
we
done
get
it.
plants.
That's-
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of plants in the village that are close to
Yeah.
the street
Oh, yeah.
that do okay.
okay, yeah, that would make sense.
so in here instead of grass.
You
and
just don't use
here-
It's
arborvitae.
gotta be kept to 3 feet though.
Right.
Mhm.
It's
Just
still
for
gonna
safety, I would
mitigate
think,
the
you know.
sound, it's gonna give
It's
them
gotta
sound
suit
barrier
the law.
protection.
Right?
And it's a visual softening of the
Yeah.
law,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know.
So the,
buffering
Our
of
goal-
vegetation, I like that.
I do believe
Sure.
I think I sent you an email and I copied Steve in as well with these very questions. That if we are to be able to move forward with a special use permit, we need to find findings of fact, such as the mitigation that you mentioned, the directional signs, all of these things to justify a departure from our code,
Mhm.
so that we're not setting a precedent.
It's not really a departure, it is a,
Densification.
Interpreting,
no, it's a required alternative
Okay,
in the code.
okay.
Because you've got 100 feet or,
that's right, it's the option.
So a buffer is defined in the code. It's basically screening, so it's got to be a visual.
But it doesn't say buffer. So
Doesn't say buffer?
No, the actual restriction says the
Feature,
site shall be located more than 100 feet from any residentially zoned or used property, or be situated such that it may be demonstrated that existing or proposed features of the site will mitigate any potential adverse effect or nuisance to the residential community. The most important feature of the site is this turning away from the residential community
to the commercial area.
and not even crossing the road to turn. It's staying on the same side. It's a right turn only, right? And moving away from both the driveway of that home as well as the rest of the residential community. So
Along with the vegetation buffer.
there is another built-in site feature, and that is the distance of that residence from,
The street.
The setback,
right,
the actual restaurant itself.
but the residence, the setback of that residence, the Masonic Lodge, is not fronted to the street.
And the restaurant itself, the location of the restaurant on that lot as well is
So it's
far removed.
the kind of,
Right,
Okay,
so,
but that is different than our code, which specifies lot line.
well, no,
it's a condition.
Okay,
So
so,
it's a condition that fits in with the or part of this thing.
okay,
because we have the alternative in the code to look at it
If
that
it's
way.
100 feet, we don't even have this conversation, we have the next conversation.
but let me reiterate the or be situated so that it may be demonstrated that existing or proposed features of the site would mitigate potential adverse or nuisance to the residential property. The existing features that satisfy this part of that sentence is the restaurant's really far away from the house.
Mhm.
I think that alone is sufficient, and then the turning, and frankly, vegetation would be nice, but I don't even need it to move forward with the permit.
the other thing that might also help would be hours of operation. It would depend on hours of operation, also that, if it's not open until 2 o'clock in the morning, for instance, or, some way to point to,
Well, you have the hours of
Trying to
operation in
find-
here, don't
Yeah,
you?
what are your hours?
Yes.
Your hours are till,
11.
11, yeah.
One question also, we'll get back to what you were talking about with the deliveries.
yes.
What street are they gonna park on?
Previously, Church Street was used, depending on who was doing their food delivery, which restaurant was in there and what kind of, where they got their supplies, and did they need a big Cisco panel truck, or did they get a little?
Because Cisco always parked on Main, I remember that. They just do center
The
of Main.
tractor, the tractor.
what percentage of your business do you anticipate to be in the restaurant versus deliverables, Grubhub, that sort of thing?
In Pittsburgh, I would expect in the restaurant to be higher than any of the other locations.
What percentage would you think that to be? What is it now?
70, I'd say 70%.
70%. And one of the other considerations could be that with deliverables today, Grubhub, DoorDash, whatever, that pickups could potentially be required on Main Street, or like, could you have those deliverables not be on Church Street coming in? I don't know if you want to do that. I think it's okay, right?
I mean, traffic's traffic.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a micro
probably.
drill,
I'm
you
just
know?
asking questions,
Yeah, but I mean, I think
Everybody else
traffic,
thinks
whether
that.
it's somebody going in the restaurant or somebody picking something up.
right?
You know, it's just part of the ebb and flow of business. You know, it's like
And then the same with deliveries, right? Do we have a restriction on the size of trucks that deliver and
no,
No, you.
Never had.
I mean, you have trucks parked on State Street all the time delivering to restaurants. You know, throughout the village, they park out on the main,
Shane.
sometimes they park right in the center.
they usually do in the center because it's easier for traffic to get around. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was saying it.
And they just say that site, no matter what, parking lot's a parking lot's a parking lot. No matter, I don't care what use you have, that parking lot's still gonna be the same. The restaurant is an indoor function with a small patio that fronts State or Main Street, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're not gonna affect the residents over there any
This-
more than any other use would have for that location.
If I may, this particular restaurant would be less of a problem for that than almost any other restaurant, because it is a franchise and a lot of materials do come up from the city to a spot in Henrietta and then get split out to the other restaurants.
Oh,
So they
okay.
use it as a
You're saying-
commissary, so you get commissary delivery.
I'm not going to say that there will never be a large truck, because,
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
but it would be
Okay.
much less than almost any other restaurant.
but there's already large trucks in the village delivering to other businesses, is really where we're going to. I mean, it's just an aspect of having businesses in our village.
How, Steve, how would it work for them actually getting the deliveries if anything other than a panel truck was parked on Main Street? Is there a place where they can get through it, or they would have to go all the way around?
Church Street is tight. I mean, the Church Street.
Well, I'm thinking more of the noise of a tractor trailer pulling in there.
Idling.
Oh, dark hundred.
They're gonna pull up the big truck, they're gonna go up front, on Main Street.
I'm going to say something. Cisco delivers in this village all the time. They used to deliver to Hicks and McCarthy's all the time. They never once went into that parking lot that Breathe has. They park in the center of the street and drop it, and they're gone.
Yep.
This is not anything out of the ordinary. This is a matter of all kinds of businesses, whether on Shane or on Main, or, you know, have the parking lot, for example, off of Church. Cisco is not going to go down Church Street. They're going to park on Main, run in the delivery, and leave.
Yeah, any truck and trailer is going to stay out.
You bet.
So-
They're not even going to try it.
I was thinking that if you made that a condition of the thing, that
Yeah,
they couldn't,
I guess.
might be more of a buffer.
I mean, there's a picture of some kind of a truck right here, but it's far away from the residential property. I don't know how big that truck is in the picture, but, you know, I wouldn't necessarily be concerned if they are driving in and going into that part of the parking lot to unload.
I don't know. I think maybe we're kind of,
I'm just,
You're talking about the fire.
requirement is so tight,
Yeah.
you know, in the code.
Yeah.
Any little thing we can add.
well, we're hanging our hat already on a few things that I think, you know, Dave's brought up.
Right, and this building and this location has been a restaurant over and over and over. I think it's always been a restaurant, well, besides the bank, right?
It was a bank.
Great Northern, it was Great Northern,
Yeah.
remember, it's been a restaurant for the last, I don't know, 5 businesses.
For decades.
Yeah, so I don't know why we're being
Well, I'm
fussy
doing it because we have a new residential use.
Right.
because of that
We have
truck
a
and that code
new
change.
code.
Yeah.
So we want to hang our hat.
What if we
Right.
say that part of it is deliveries shall occur on Main Street or in the parking lot? The existing parking lot. Do you think that would be fine? Sorry, Jason,
That sounds very reasonable.
right? So what this does.
So reasonable.
We're trying to come, you know, we're trying to work through it for you because
So-
we don't want to set a weird precedent.
So here's the
I
cool
understand.
thing. Here's the cool thing about that idea, right? If you say Main Street or the parking lot, that means when they pull in the parking lot, if they do it there, the truck has to leave back to South Main. It's not running through Church Street into the rest of the residential community.
Yes, with the flow up. to
So
the
it just
parking lot.
continues back on Main, keeps
From
it nice and
Church.
simple.
It's got to pass over Church, but, yeah.
Yeah, so it goes initially on Church, but then it comes into the
Yeah,
lot,
that's-
and then to leave the lot, it has to go back to Main.
Sure.
Nice and simple.
Here's I have a little piece of discomfort. I know typically planning and zoning, and I understand that planning and zoning will be a part of the special use permit? Right, okay. And as part of their process, they send out letters to neighboring properties.
That's for site plan.
Yes,
And
so we can change.
they're using the existing site. plan.
Right, we're not
I'm
changing.
just- I'm asking the
We're not
attorney.
using the existing site plan if we have them do plantings.
Then it's an amendment, and then they go to planning. If we don't require the plantings as a buffer, if we feel that there's enough.
I don't want to require planning personally. I think it's additional steps on a business that has existed there, and the distance from the restaurant to the home, and the requirement to have them go back to South Main, added to this deliverable that it has to be the parking lot or South Main. What are we going to have go to planning for bushes that you're going to see the cars anyway?
Don't look at me, I mean, you know.
Would it have to go to site plan if they were movable planters?
Mhm.
So anything
It's
in that
changing the
space?
site, it's
Okay.
changing the site, yeah.
If you want to put some bushes up,
Non-permanent
that'd be great.
planters.
Yeah, I could voluntarily put some.
There we go.
I don't know, I just don't see a reason to slow down
Throwing
the
a couple
applicant
azaleas.
for
Yeah, I
bushes
agree.
that-
I agree.
This lot is uniquely situated where it's different.
Okay, so with that in mind, and what trustee Marshall just said, is that something that would satisfy the alternatives in the code?
You can build findings around it. You know,
Okay.
what?
What was that? I mean,
From our planning person.
I heard a little peep back there. You know, I mean, all we need is something to make sure that we've got the findings and we can say, yes, this is in fact.
I think we're good with what we've talked about, just put
Yeah.
it in the.
I understand that, but I'm asking our attorney, just what's defensible and precedent and all
I'm going
that.
to say as a courtesy, at some point, I think that residents should be notified.
Yeah.
The public hearing.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
This
What we're
is a
doing right
public
now.
hearing.
yeah,
But
they've been notified.
Yeah, they,
This is a public hearing.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is the neighbor. You know, when the planning and zoning board has a hearing,
Mhm.
letters go out to the adjoining property owners because it affects them.
Mhm.
I'm concerned that the people who have redone the Masonic Lodge
Mhm.
as their home are not aware that this is occurring. And as a courtesy, how would you feel to?
Is there a requirement that we have to do that
It's not a requirement.
specifically?
No, because it's a public hearing.
I mean, it's a public,
I'm not
it's in the public.
worried about that piece.
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
you don't, let me put it this way, you start doing that, you set a precedence every time you do one of these, you guys know,
Okay.
it's an overburden.
I think we, as trustees, are being very thoughtful to this relationship with the residential community right next to our residents. I don't think there's anything more we can do reasonably and not just be considered to be blocking a business that wants to come in or adding too many different things to make it.
plus they can walk across the street and get ramen
Yeah,
noodles.
so, anyway, I think on this, we've done enough without the vegetation line.
Okay, so if this is a public hearing, it has only been discussion with the board. I'd make a motion, we open the public hearing.
A second?
We have a second, roll call, please.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair,
Aye.
trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Is there anyone wishing to speak either in the room or online? Anybody? Dorothea?
Crickets.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Okay, so,
Second.
okay, we have a second roll call.
Yes. Trustee Lanfair,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, it's back to the board.
Okay.
Yes, Lily?
Thank you. Jeff, as we're writing up the findings, I am wondering if we might point to specific features regarding this particular property and the parking lot that would allow us to grant a special use permit based on the features of this particular location. And those features would include a greensward a landscaping greensward which almost surrounds this parking lot, which affords the opportunity for a landscape buffer, which would be important to the mitigation of the use of proximity to residential.
So now we're amending the site plan and taking it back to the planning board.
And we'd have to take it back to.
I'd personally like to see if we can pass the permit without that, and if it fails, then move it forward with that.
I'm trying to find reasons that would stand up in findings as far as the precedent, so that if it comes back against,
Right.
well, the reason we did this was
Right.
because there was an opportunity here
Mhm.
because of the way the parking lot is configured and the fact that there were landscaping features in place.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I think though, we're
trying to do it without.
But the prior discussion was already the features, and that's in the code,
Okay,
the features are enough for this board to say, the way the exit from the
Okay.
parking lot drives traffic away from a residential area. That is a positive feature that we can hang our hat on and say that that is a reason for us to grant it. Another feature is the actual location of the restaurant in that it fronts on a commercial area along Main Street, and the house, the only residence that's really up, within that proximity, has such a significant and unique setback that there is very little interference.
That property is set back 90 feet from, almost 100 feet from the sidewalk,
Yeah.
residential property.
So,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find.
Well, we've already, I think if I am understanding, we've already found
I think we
enough
found
to go with.
Yeah.
If our applicant wishes to put in some beautiful shrubs
Vegetation,
and
right. But
vegetation.
we're not requiring that.
Thank you. Yes, Dorothea.
Real quick, the site plan, was there on green space, there was something with arborvitae's?
It's on the east side of the lot.
Yeah, that abuts the ESL parking lot, I believe.
And there's some, what I'm
There's already
saying
a
is,
buffer.
there's already an established buffer that arborvitae's that's supposed to be put in there.
It's supposed to be, but some of them failed, and I don't know that they were replaced.
But wouldn't they be required to put them back in, follow the site plan?
Yeah, so you can plant some,
Is it there? Are they showing
There's
up?
arborvitae's there.
there's a few.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 of
Well,
them.
there we go.
They're already-
Yeah, I just remember there was some green
Yeah,
space.
Yeah.
good point, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so you've got a setback of the residential property of about 100 feet to the sidewalk, and the distance between the restaurant and the residence is about 200 feet.
Steve, could I ask you a
Feeling
question?
better.
You've not issued any citation for the absence of an arborvitae relative to the site plan, have you? So it is currently in conformity with the existing site plan and the arborvitae requirement, which would suggest if you want to put some bushes in, it's fine.
Understood. Where?
Huh?
Where?
Well,
Who were the arborvitae? We need ones
The
to
ones
fill in more
that
arborvitae.
were done.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
He doesn't have to come to the site plan to put some bushes in
No.
it. So, I know, right, so,
Just replacement. In
anyway.
kind replacement. Okay, so where are we in the process here?
So my question is, hours of operation.
Closes at 11.
It's the exact same hours that we've given to any other restaurant that we've approved.
It's
Is that
within
correct?
compliance of our noise code,
Okay,
which
but
kicks in.
to our comments on prior restaurants, the pub that used to be Rachel's that Mike go in, hopefully goes in, and Fatouche, these restaurants all have the exact same hours and all the exact same conditions about noise and all these other things. So I guess my question to the board is there anything besides the delivery that is unique in this application than another one? Like, I just want to add the one delivery, which is deliveries beyond South Main or in the parking lot.
Yeah, I would just add the findings of fact, the distances between the actual buildings that I mentioned.
Right.
Mhm.
And then
That's a
also the
good one.
delivery condition in
Yeah.
the driveway.
Yeah.
So is there a motion?
I don't see anything else. Does anybody else?
I think we're good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit for a restaurant at 14 South Main with all the comments discussed tonight, including the requirement that deliveries occur on South Main and in the parking lot, not on Churches, basically. That, and the added the findings of fact with regards to distances.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations,
Thanks,
Pam.
Dan.
Hey,
We're
welcome
looking
to the
for-
village.
When are you opening?
Well, this one will take a little longer than some of the other ones, but
What do you think?
it's really, I mean, we'd like to be ready by Christmas.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be great.
Candlelight night, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Great.
that's a big one. We can get in there before December 3rd.
Well, thank
A lot
you
of
for your
traffic.
forbearance.
December's a big
Yeah.
month, so.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
So
Well, thank you so
make
much.
sure- Make sure you talk to the preservation board with regards to signage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate your patience on this.
Yes,
but
thank
this-
you.
We needed to kind of nail this down a bit.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
okay.
All right, thank
Good
you.
luck with everything,
Thank you for
wonderful,
your
thank you.
Diligence.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, next up, all right. Where are we? Oh, proposed code changes regarding grease traps. And also the property maintenance code, I believe that's in your packet as well. And Steve, you may want to speak to that about, and Jeff as well, about the grease traps and some of the issues that we've had. And we need to sort of have a mechanism, and I think really what we're looking for tonight is, directing Jeff and Steve to really take a look at what that would look like in the code and if regular inspections or fees or, how we would want to.
It's already in the new code, the international code of requiring a solid cover with a locking mechanism.
Right, but the issue has been with a large commercial property with grease traps backing up. Jeff, you may want to speak to that and the fact that keeping a log, doing an inspection.
In the public sewer system.
Getting verification of the clean.
Right, that's the piece I think that we've discussed a little bit.
Yeah, we
I
have.
really need to
Before,
circle
yeah.
back and maybe, direct Jeff and Steve to kind of work on something where we really have a mechanism in place, because we, at some point, would want to be able to charge back, because how many times has this happened?
Exactly.
Delmonte's on a regular inspection basis, so weekly we're over with Delmonte.
You were over there all the, I mean, it
Weekly.
just is a lot.
So my apology early on in this meeting, I have a conflict of interest with regards to this item, so I'm just gonna sit here.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Anyway, so, that's really, I think, where we're going, Yeah, I mean, it has been a while since we've had the discussion.
Yes.
So the
So,
question is, do we charge fees? Is that?
yeah, and really take a look at that, and what does it mean if again, there's these repeated backups, and the crew's coming in, and there's overtime, and there's,
I agree.
it's a lot
Absolutely.
going on.
Absolutely.
So what I would like the board to consider is to direct our attorney and Steve to take a look at how we could put that in our code and what that would look like in terms of any kind of fee structure, and also, there's some type of log inspections, things like that, whether it's monthly, quarterly, that kind of thing. And that's not unusual particularly for restaurants, I can tell you that, having worked in the business. So is the board amenable to that?
Yes.
Okay. Marching orders. Do we need a motion? We need a motion. Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion for our attorney and Steve, and maybe Zach, if he wants to join in, to direct them to develop a procedure to require for some kind of scheduled maintenance and fee schedule. Does that sound right? For grease traps in the village.
Yeah, anywhere in the village.
And plus remediation.
Oh, and remediation,
remediation.
thank you. Compensation.
Yes, and remediation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, trustee Lanfair,
Aye.
trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Then next up is, and again, you have the code sections. It's about property maintenance in the code to address, I think, commercial in addition to residential. Is there anything else, Steve? You want to
Yeah,
speak to
no,
that?
it was the fact that the property maintenance code is geared towards the commercial. We had an issue with a property owner, and Jeff and I both looked at it and said we really couldn't put any teeth to like a violation. So the code needs to be adjusted so that it references commercial as well as residential.
Okay, because right now it is specific more to residential. Is that our understanding?
In addition, the remediation ability is only when they're dangerous or unsafe. So we need a remediation for non-compliance.
Okay,
You know, and the same thing with vacant, like a vacant structure over a certain time, the residential, we have code to register it and monitor it. We do not have that for commercial.
so we need a motion to direct both of you to research and develop the code to remedy that for commercial properties. If there's anyone who would like to make that motion.
So moved.
Like that. Was that enough to
I'll second.
put together? Yeah, okay. We're running with it. We're running with it.
Dave, are you,
What are you thinking, Jane?
I can't,
He's,
yeah.
okay, you have
Oh, he's
conflict
recused.
I'm recused.
for both ends?
Yeah, do
Okay, I just wanted
Do I need
to.
to say why?
doesn't he say what?
Good. Happy not to.
Wait, you're recusing?
Yes,
Yes, so we're all voted.
I have a conflict of
Let me-
interest.
There's a conflict.
And
Let me clarify. If you are abstaining, you have to clarify.
Oh, thank you.
Clarify.
That's right.
Recusal, you don't.
If you're
Right.
abstaining, you have to clarify.
Right.
Understood,
So-
understood.
David said he's got a conflict.
Thank you.
That's the reason for the abstention.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That was my,
Gotcha. Okay, where are we with the roll call?
I'm about to call it.
Okay.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Lanfair,
aye?
trustee Lickett,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
could I interrupt for just a moment to make a motion to declare the 14 South Main Street special permit a type 2 for seeker,
617.5
617.5,
C18.
Thank you.
C18?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Thanks, Dave.
Still writing, hold on.
Type 2?
Okay,
Yeah.
trustee Lickett,
Aye.
trustee Lanfair,
Aye?
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Well played. Okay, next up, debrief on the short-term rental public hearing.
Was there, who put the item on, did they
Well,
have it back?
I just thought that, we had the
Okay, well,
hearing,
that's
and I wasn't here the last meeting, so I don't know if you
Oh.
guys discussed anything about
Okay,
the public
No, that's-
meeting.
there wasn't anything in the packet, so I didn't know whether,
Yeah,
okay.
because I just
So if you
wanted,
didn't get it-
I want an opportunity for the board to, was there anything that came to light from the public hearing? Did anybody feel differently about kind of their stance on what they feel about STRs and the local law that's been presented to the public? I have a question for our attorney. Once again, I'm very focused on residential desires in this whole local law. That's really my main focus. And is there a way, we've got an election coming up in March. Is there a way to put this to a vote to residents to say, I do not want STRs in residential districts? Yes or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Go to referendum.
We can do a referendum.
What do you guys think about that? I mean, I've heard that most residents do not want that, but I don't have any proof, and I just wonder if that would be something that the board would entertain.
So we could take, for example, the local law that we've been looking at and put that forward, make that subject to referendum.
Yeah, we definitely could do that. Fine with that.
The only hiccup that I see is that, and I don't know how quickly this could happen or what kind of an effect it would have, and that is that our moratorium ends prior, right? So that
February
would-
8th, February 8th.
Well, having a moratorium upcoming would be a good justification for extending that.
I don't know.
Yeah, if we're doing the referendum, why wouldn't we just extend it so we can have the vote? I mean, that opens it up at large to the community.
So let me ask
You know.
you this one thing, because Justin, you said we could just bring the present local law to referendum.
To have a referendum, you would have to have a local law that people are voting on.
Mhm.
So
So
whether.
you have to have, so you couldn't have just a statement, the one that I said, because the local law has two very, very significant pieces to it. It's the residential district piece, and it's the grandfathering in piece. And I think some people feel differently about those two pieces, and to merge them all together, I don't know if I'm going to get a good feel or a good view, and I don't know if people will have an understanding how they will be voting.
You could you could break it into two laws and make each one subject to referendum.
Separate it out, right?
I gotta look at the referendum law. It's possible that you can put a proposition
Oh,
forward.
Whether to make legislation or not make legislation.
Yeah, I'm
To
not
take
sure.
the action.
I think Justin's
Mhm.
probably
Right, I
right.
think it's to
You
take the
need
action.
legislation, but let me look into whether or not you can put a proposition forward.
can we
I
direct?
mean, that's an awfully long law. Expect people to read,
Biggie.
you know.
Right, exactly, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know, I just wanted to bring it up to the board and
I'm
see what you
fine with
guys
that.
felt about that.
I don't favor a referendum.
Okay,
Well, I think it allows everybody to weigh in. I think that's a good idea.
I'm just thinking, we've talked about whether residents want it and or
Yeah.
that they don't, and
They weigh in on
we're just
cannabis
kind of
and-
assuming that most don't. And I'm just wondering if,
What are you thinking?
I'm just, want to make sure on the time frame, because there's a certain amount of time frame when you do a referendum, that you can put it forward and making sure. Steve, did you touch the camera? We just lost the camera.
Oh,
With local laws and everything else, and I want to make sure how they
We'd have
work.
to we'd have to back up the timing to make sure it was right, but we have plenty of time to do that.
Correct, I just, that's all my
Right,
concern.
right. With that doesn't add an expense to the election, does it?
No,
no,
it doesn't add an expense, but I know I have to have it to the board of elections at a certain time.
Okay.
And I think there's a certain amount of time from when the board declares they want to send something to referendum that I
There is.
have to conduct the referendum.
it's a,
Right.
what's the
Right,
window? Is
we
it-
would time that out.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
could,
because I think it's like 30 to 120 days or something.
so if we want to
like
do
that.
it, we could direct you guys to come up with a
Yeah,
timeline.
I think, I just want to clarify the timing
Okay.
around it.
Yeah, we'd have to also, never mind.
so let me ask you this, if we were to do this, and the community did vote, and it was a very, very close vote, does the vote win, and then we're automatically subject to honor that? Or can we still come back to our board and say, we have to honor the vote that they have
Yes,
chosen?
that's why you have the referendum,
So you-
because you
yeah.
want your community at large to weigh in. That's what we did with cannabis. for
Yeah, and that's what I was
example.
gonna say,
Yeah,
you did it with
It's like,
cannabis.
geez, is it really just for the board to decide, or do we want to have the public weigh in? I think
For
it's
that
a good
reason, I'm
idea.
thinking you may not be able to do a proposition, but I'll get the answer to that.
I mean, just a thought.
Well, then is there a
motion?
motion it would be a motion to direct
Dorothea and I
you, both of you, yeah,
to work on this.
to work on this
concept
and
of a
report back to the
referendum for us
board.
there.
Well, again, I don't want there to be a lot of extra work if the board doesn't feel that that is
I
something
think
that
it's a
they
good
want to
idea.
entertain. I mean, Dave doesn't really feel like he
Mhm.
likes that idea. Mayor, you sound like you kind
No,
of
I
do.
think it's a good idea,
Justin
because
and Lily,
we've
where are
had
you
so many
going?
different people weighing in on things.
So remember, we've also got the LWRP, and whether or not they come up with anything that
Mhm.
would help if there was a problem, whether or not they have a suggestion about conditions would also
Yeah,
be
that's true too,
important.
but they have a time frame as well. Mhm.
They started to run.
Clarification.
Yeah, Lily, yeah.
What you're proposing. And that is when you say to eliminate STRs in residential districts, how do you clarify that owner occupied is permitted? See, you have all these
It would be
nuances,
the law.
right?
Well, I mean, if that.
That they would have to understand.
If we can do
It's an
if we can do
educational
a proposition, and I'm not sure that we can, then the board would have to figure out what they wanted to fine tune to get an answer to.
Mhm.
You know, and I'm with Lisa, I would make it simple. Do you want?
Yeah, it's gotta be simple.
Unhosted STRs in residential communities?
Yeah, and that's what you could say,
Or do you
unhosted.
want to grandfather current STRs in residential community, or residential districts, sorry?
So let's say, how is that, so that would be a proposition on top of?
I'm not sure we can do that. Otherwise, if we can't do that, the only way to do it is have three versions of the local law.
Yeah.
And then
Showing,
do a summary
yeah.
of each for the,
So if we were able to do the simple one, would you entertain that idea?
well, I think you can make it simple, even if it's a whole local law, by putting a summary of the local law.
Which is not uncommon. Yeah, that's done a lot with referendums.
But essentially,
Get the highlights.
it's an up or down vote on whether or not the law as crafted is acceptable, right? And so should it be accepted, then the local law as crafted is adopted. Should it be turned down as crafted, then we go back to the drawing board with the information of whether or not it's been turned up or down. So essentially what it's saying is, if we otherwise would have passed this, what we're saying instead is, hey, we'll put it up to the referendum and we'll let the community decide if they want to pass this, right? If it doesn't get passed, then it comes back to the drawing board after the election, probably after we have a new composition of the board. Perfectly fine, it's just that's where we would.
I think if you had a yay, nay for each iteration of the law with the key differences, then one of us is going to win, right?
It sorts it out, basically.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you have three choices, you're going to split votes and you may not actually get an understanding of what people want. So for example, let's say you had extending existing STRs for 1 year, 5 years, and grandfathered, hypothetically. You could split votes between 1 and 5 and grandfather
Right,
wins.
yeah, that might.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that.
Well, you wouldn't, I mean, you can't make it that complicated. You're either going to have them grandfathered
Or not.
or not.
Right, because that's what our law says.
Right,
now,
well, this is why I'm
So we couldn't
saying
have it.
the law is
I think-
crafted.
But I think if you're listening to what Jeff's saying, it's just, you got A or you got B.
Right, we're not gonna make it multiple choice.
Well, I think A is the law passes, B is the law doesn't.
But I mean, we can direct Jeff to work on that with Dorothea and
That
come
I'd
back
be
with
okay
the information to the board to see what's feasible.
Meaning without separating the
So-
two large pieces, but keeping it in one?
What I'm saying is.
Why don't we let our attorney take a look at what is the practical way to do this? And I agree with the simplest format to convey the information so people can discern yes or no.
Here's
And
my-
ask them to do the work and bring it back to the board, is what I'm
So-
thinking.
It will depend on what the board is trying to have happen. If the board is setting it up so the current form of the law is up or down, and then if it's down, you go back and do further work, well, that's one thing.
Don't they have to pass or deny the law one way or another for it to be a referendum?
It's an up or down vote.
Right, but that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
So
okay.
if they
I'm sorry.
deny, if it's nay on that local law, then if there's going to be an STR ordinance, then it has to come back to the board for further work.
That you've heard from the public.
But if you do it, you know, you give the public three choices. I have to think about the logic of that book trail, but
Okay, so, yeah, Justin.
I think it's a really good suggestion, Lisa, that, you know, as something we could consider. So I think it's worth looking at the possibilities. I agree with what Dave was saying, is that, you know, if you divided it up into a couple of possibilities for control, then that would divide the vote of the people who want
Sure,
control.
I agree.
So then it would essentially fail.
Right.
And so that wouldn't work out. It's kind of got to be all or nothing.
Mhm.
You know, given that, I guess it's worth kind of playing with the timeline and just seeing what it would look like. And what I would have to consider more is, there has been a lot of research into this. We've had a committee formed, we've read dozens of ordinances, we've had dozens of meetings about this. And part of the reason that people are elected is so that we can be informed about all the nuances and make a decision on a complex matter. If we're talking about distilling this, a several page piece of legislation that's based on hundreds of pages of research, dozens of meetings, then some of that process is maybe kind of lost. And that's what I'm struggling with myself. I think it's worth looking at just what the basic timeline would be. I'm on the fence about this one. I think it's a good suggestion to play with.
Appreciate those points, Justin.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the challenges with short-term rentals is it's a little bit of the not in my backyard argument, right? Where there are residents who currently don't have existing short-term rentals next to them. When faced with the potential risk of litigation or the response in the community, how it might be perceived, the idea may be, okay, I'm fine with a grandfather. We are held in trust for all residents equally. And when you put something like this to a vote, I believe the consideration that we're entrusted with is lost a little bit in the argument to the average voter when they just think, yeah, what's wrong with grandfathering? So I think there is a respect and a sincerity that we have to treat this issue with all the research that Justin referenced and to make a decision. And so I'm not in favor of it. I recognize the appropriateness of asking the community, but we've done that. We've done it a lot. That's what this meeting was a month ago.
Yeah, but I think what came out of that meeting, and actually I think we had staff take a look at, the people pro, con, neutral, and there's a range there of people who spoke up. There were more pros than cons, in favor of having STRs.
I disagree with that, Count. I count the same.
Okay, well then, I'll have Alexandria send it out. I'll have her send it out.
I think it would be great to
She has the
share that data with the whole board.
Yeah, no, she just came up with it today.
But are you pulling them?
Hang on,
Are you pulling out?
I'm still speaking, hang on, I'm still speaking. I'd just like to finish my sentence, and then we'll go right back to the rest of the board. So I think there's a wide range still here of thought within our community, and I think at least exploring the idea of the referendum, I think is a positive thing. I don't see it as a negative thing. Yeah, we're entrusted with all sorts of things, but we were also, the last board could have made a decision on cannabis, and we thought, it's kind of a biggie. We need to hear, we need to have a lot of people weigh in. Well, this is a biggie too. To me, I think it really is. This is pretty definitive stuff. And because we're saying no to STRs, but only in a very specific area. So I think it merits having our residents weigh in. I have no problem with that, and I think Lisa made a very good suggestion. At least take a look at the timeline and what does that look like. And if Jeff and Dorothea can bring it back to the board, we have an opportunity, frankly. I think it's an opportunity.
I would like to also follow up on Lisa's comment. If we're having the office staff look at data from the last public hearing, let's also have it divided up by residents versus non-residents.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I took a poll too. I have my own as well.
Yep, we're all talking to everybody.
Lily, what? No, I mean at the public
Gotcha.
hearing.
Okay, that's great. Okay.
Lily, what are you thinking?
The way I'm viewing this is that I feel that it's been, as somebody said, very nuanced. The law is nuanced, the opinions are nuanced. I feel that it'd be a disservice almost because it is a complex issue with I think we tried to simplify it as much as we could, but really to understand it, it's not a cut and dry yes or no. There are ways that we found that we could work them into residential, and you can't explain that in a referendum. I also agree with what you've said regarding we are entrusted, we have been elected to do a job, and part of that job is to take the information that we've been given and make the best decision for the village of Pittsford. That is our charge. And I think that in some instances, a referendum might be called for. In this one, I think that we've done our due diligence. We've held multiple meetings over the past year. And I'm going to go back even farther. When we did the comprehensive plan, and we also did all of the code meetings that week after week, I mean, sometimes 3 meetings in a week, and have discussed this for really several years. I think that we have done enough research to feel confident that the law that we are crafting is a law that we can feel is in the best interest of the village. So, and that's my opinion.
Thank you.
So, and I think referendum is very complex. The timing is complex, how we craft what is written, what the public sees, how that's presented to the public, where they can have access to it. All of those things are it feels very cumbersome.
Okay.
So I think it's our job, our decision and our job.
So given a few of us have expressed hesitation, so is the consensus, do we want to take a vote to not send this, to make sure we're on the same page? I would suggest that we do not have our staff research the referendum based on the discussion.
I agree.
Okay, is that a motion?
Sure.
I mean, hang on, excuse me, we have a motion and we have a
I
second.
think it'd have to be a motion to direct them, not a motion to not.
I guess so, okay, so.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's
I mean, if-
It's a motion to never do a thing,
Okay.
it's a motion to, yeah, you're right, okay.
It
So,
was more just to.
yeah,
see where
just
we
saying,
stood.
let's just kill it, let's just table everything. Steve, you had a comment? But, this is before our board, I just want to make that
Do you have
really
a
clear
comment with
about it.
regards to?
Yeah.
I guess, because I hear, I'm the one that takes the phone call, we listen to these people all the time in the village and everything. I guess part of me is not understanding it, the fact that you had a committee formed.
Sorry, Steve.
You had a committee
Steve,
formed.
Steve, if I could ask for a moment,
Hang on.
if I could ask for a moment.
Yeah.
Is this you speaking as a individual or as your role as building inspector and code enforcement officer?
I'm speaking as an individual, as a human, as an adult.
Are we open for
That
public
has a
comment?
vested interest.
But we need to bring it back to the board then, if we want to receive additional comments.
Regarding, is this, I don't understand, and we reopened this short-term rental, what do we,
No,
in
it's,
what
No, it's
context?
just, look, sometimes we take comments from anybody sitting in the audience.
Okay.
Does the board
Yes, I
just want,
think-
in other words, we're just
That's a
talking about it.
clarification.
People are in the audience, they're reacting and
I'm
thinking, oh, I
perfectly
want to weigh in. That's all.
comfortable.
I agree, take that, whatever.
Okay.
It's your guys' decision, whatever, I guess.
All right, okay, thank you, Steve. No, I appreciate it. Okay.
Can I just make a suggestion?
Sure, of course you can. You can always make a suggestion.
I'm wondering if, to answer the question, if there are questions in your mind, Lisa, if there's another way that you could poll the residents, for instance, in an informal, I don't know what you call it, like MailChimp or something, some way to answer the question that you had.
Right, and that's what I had asked at one time, if we could do some kind of survey, you blast a survey out with something simplistic like that. But
I
again, you
feel like
feel
I'm-
that you've had enough.
I feel like I'm the most annoying person. Every time I talk to a resident, I'm like, so what's your take on STRs? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And it's just this persistent, ongoing, every conversation I ever have, I pretty much lead with that.
Okay.
So you got enough information, you are ready.
But the point being, what? Okay.
We don't need a poll of the residents.
So that was the debriefing on the STR.
Wasn't that nice? I knew there was
Evidently
something.
that was, yeah.
If I, going to some of the specific comments that we got at the meeting, I did want to bring up one comment again. There was someone who called in from Victor, I believe, about STRs in TDD. I think it was TDD. And it seems based on the research that our building inspector did, we had effectively disallowed all of them because of proximity to the residential property line. And that didn't seem to be our intent when we wrote the code. So
Yeah.
I would suggest that we tweak the code to actually allow it, right? And
Yeah.
just make that improvement.
I agree with what Justin's
Yeah,
saying
that's
here. With regards to some conversation we had about the 100 feet within the TDD, all of these would have to be special permitted within the TDD, right? There's an unlimited number that could be eligible within the TDD. And I did have some.
They can only be on second floor,
Second floor, yeah.
so that isn't an unlimited number.
Correct, but similar to the comments we just had about restaurants and 100 feet, right, and that distancing and spacing, I think the density of short-term rentals and the use is much different than that of a restaurant. And if we're holding restaurants to 100 feet, personally, I'm okay eliminating that 100 feet distance from residential property lines and let the zones be their own buffer to those adjacent residences. So to all the comments we've ever had with regards to this code, if we're less restrictive when we go to adopt it, and we simply remove that, that can be done at the time that we adopt it.
But didn't the building inspector say that they're a residential use? So why aren't they a permitted use? Because residential is permitted on the second floor.
Because you're changing the definition of what an STR is.
Mhm. An STR is no longer a residential use.
I see. So this law changes that it's not a residential use, and therefore, since
It's a
it's not a,
specialized residential use.
okay,
It's in its own category.
now I understand.
Its own category.
Okay.
So a couple of things to your point, Justin. I thought that was a great comment and good feedback that Steve, you'd done in the work with the mayor, just understanding the impact of that. And I think the reality is sort of that density of use and use itself is compatible enough with residential character that I'm willing to remove that.
The 100 feet.
Yeah, the 100 feet at the time of the approval. I also think there could be some consideration to the duration. So right now, we have kind of gone back and forth. Right now, we have 1 year. We've talked about grandfathering. There's a lot of years in between that. I think it's reasonable to adopt it with 1 year. I like it as 1 year, but to the extent that we may want to permit additional time and opportunity, we could go into that and adopt it with a slightly longer consideration. So that's one thing that we could ponder as well. We could also increase the number of them that might be able to be used in the VCB or the, what's the little zone that's right where we are here? What's this zone?
Next.
LOF.
Office.
LOF. So perhaps more than 2, we could go with 3 or 4, right, in mixed-use office to allow a little bit more before we have to go back and revisit that number.
Okay, so to clarify, I think Justin was referencing a person a property owner who called in and wanted to clarify that she thought that she could put a short-term rental on her second floor, and it appeared, and then we discovered, no, it wouldn't be permitted, and that was not our intent. So I'd like to point out also another, I don't think we need a finding or anything, but that to allow residential, this short-term rental in the TDD, once the transition has been made from office space or hairdresser or whatever exists currently on second floor and changes to this STR, now that makes it living space. So if someday the short-term rental business owner doesn't want to, now they have an apartment that they can rent. Now we've increased the housing stock
Yeah.
in the village, so that's
I think it's all good.
that's a plus.
You're creating incentives and opportunities for profits in places where redevelopment is very helpful.
Yes,
Right.
and the existing STRs right now have improved the housing stock by the very nature of, what it is to have one. So there's that.
I think an owner would have done the same if somebody was moving into it.
Yeah.
Any owner, I think, would have improved it. But in any case, I don't think that's the reason why. But what I'm saying is pre-existing space that was not used for residential previously now has become able to be utilized.
Or encouraged to be.
Potential living space.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted to say. I opened up a can of worms, but thank you
I
for
think it
the
was really good you
conversation.
brought it up, honestly.
Yeah, it was
I
great
think it's really good
conversation. I
brought
was
it
really,
up. And I still
got a
support it. I
sense,
think it would be a very.
got a sense for what everybody feels, and
Question
Good
to continue on the comment. Jeff, what's next for us with regards to the short-term rental legislation?
30 days runs, then we do a complete secret.
All right, so it's been noticed. We don't have to wait for the LWRP to be complete. they can continue to move forward with their review as, at the same time, we're moving forward with seeker and then we just get it done within that 30 days. And we have a meeting scheduled for that?
Probably.
Probably.
We're going like to 2 meetings a month,
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll slide it in there when it's appropriate.
because it's not a public hearing.
yeah, it's not a public hearing, it probably be towards the end of October.
Can we do early October?
No, because the seeker stuff went out yesterday, so 30 days.
30 days, when's the first meeting in?
The 8th,
Yeah, I can do all
All right,
yeah, we can. So it'd be the 22nd.
22nd of October. Okay, and what's our expected ETA, the time period from the planning board with regards to LWRP? What's that?
Well, I can't do it until we do our seeker. And
No, so they actually wait, they don't even.
I don't know, I'm not sure, I mean, you know,
We're ready.
you're waiting.
You're waiting.
You're waiting for us to do seeker.
And is it the letter coming also in regard to the lead agency?
It already went out yesterday.
Well, okay.
Jeff, once the seeker is done, then we have to write a formal letter, or it's just automatically?
I know, we have to publish it, send it all the meetings.
No, I'm sorry, once it's done, it just automatically swings over to the planning board?
No, we'll send it to them.
We'll send it to them, okay, so then it goes to Albany, Albany says yes, and then we send it to them? No, we just send it to them.
No, we just file it.
Okay.
File it normally.
So then
So we're
once
lead
it-
agency, and we send it to the interested parties.
Yeah, so then once it's done, assuming that it's done on the 22nd, then what's the duration of receiving it back usually? I forget how long the LWRP is, 90 days, 60 days?
60 plus 60.
60 plus 60, so 120. Okay. Okay, or anytime sooner, I guess.
Yeah, if they get to it sooner.
Sure. That's helpful.
And the reason why the planning board is waiting,
Because they can't do it until seeker. That's planning boards
Okay, so we're set?
doing it right.
We're set? We're good?
Yep. that's fine.
Okay, just trying to move through the agenda here.
Um,
Oh, yes, did you?
So just a technical question. For the LWRP review, could we get a map that would clearly show which side of the street the LWRP line falls on? Because that will determine,
Yeah,
that's determinative.
it's on our voting map.
I know, but it's hard to,
It's hard to read it.
it's hard to see. Because we've had instances where overlays have
Bisect it a lot.
been on one side of the street and not the other.
Okay,
So just for that clarity, just a better map
yeah,
for the LWRP,
a better map would be good.
yeah.
We like that.
Enlarge this one.
Yeah, but we'll work on that internally, and we'll circle back on that. Thank you.
I would
Dorothea?
actually request town GIS to produce a
just-
higher quality map focusing on that overlay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Who's doing that? Who's requesting it?
Yep, that's where we're going.
We'll get it requested.
Mhm.
So appropriately requested.
thanks, Dorothea.
All right, so Dorothea's going to send a improved town map with our LWRP overlay to the planning board. Thank you.
It's the action item. Thank you, Beth. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item. Consideration of the purchase of graphic wrap for the junction box located at the four corners of the village, and that is the corner by the Phoenix Building. Yep.
So right now, it's just green is better than silver, because that's all we'll be approving with that,
I
right?
thought it was the photographs.
What the quote that she sent
Oh,
was this.
oh, that one, yeah, but I
And
thought
the
also we were
reason
looking at
why
photographs.
she could not give us an estimate on the
Oh.
photograph is it depends on what graphic we send her. Do we
Mhm.
want any text on it?
Hmm,
There were a lot of
That's right,
unknowns.
yeah, no, I saw that, and then I
And
was
so-
looking at the photographs. though.
This is one price,
Yeah.
if she sent us the price for this.
Mhm.
But if we were to say, oh, we want a photograph and we wanted to say
Mhm.
Village of Pittsburgh and establish, whatever,
Or a little blip about the history.
anything
Of the
that's
fees.
added is an additional fee
Understood.
from, and we don't know what that's going to be
Mhm.
until we provide. So I think it's up to the board to decide, do they want to go with the green, or do they want to pursue a more,
What was the cost again on the green?
Yeah, can you refresh on the cost? I'm just trying to look it up real quick, I know.
on there?
It's in
It
the,
is. Should
here
have
it
say
is, wait a
that.
minute, it's, I've got it right here.
700 to $1,100.
Thank you, 7 to 1,100, yeah.
And that's
7 to
per-
1,100 just for the green.
Yeah,
Per or both, all?
For all of them, or each?
For what?
for the green,
For
For
the
each?
one box.
yes.
For each
For the
box?
one box.
One buck.
For one box. Okay,
Right.
so I don't think we should turn it green for that cost.
I agree.
Okay.
But I do like the idea still of pursuing what the cost might be for something that's useful to the community, whether or not it's
It's an
history,
investment.
wayfinding. I think it's a good investment,
Mhm.
but I don't want to just turn it green.
Yes.
So
let's
why
get
don't
the
we,
big picture.
whoever may want to, come up with ideas for pictures, wayfinding, wordage, verbiage, go from there?
Yes, no, but Vicki Prophet, who's
Yeah.
our historian, is really interested in helping with this.
Yeah, I already saw her.
You did see her?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good.
Okay.
I agree. I think, first of all, the Phoenix building is iconic. We got this metal box there. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, let's really, you know, this could be a really great little piece of telling our
He's
story.
holding onto the pics until I ask for him. The whole point is to have the best original image that you can possibly come up with, because of course, as you know, it gets bigger and it gets blurrier.
Question.
And also, the board
Hang on one sec.
to determine if they want any script included. A picture is one thing, and that would be one price, and it'll probably be pretty straightforward. I could guess at this, it might be like in the neighborhood of 2,000 maybe.
Mhm.
But if you start adding words and things, then you're, I don't think we need words. Do we need words?
The only thing I was thinking of is, well, we have the marker that's there, you know, already for the Phoenix building. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Dimmers, they don't have the right light bulbs in the dim.
They never changed, did you, Jeff? Anyway, that's a separate thing. Okay, let's just circle back on this. We have a marker that's already there. The
Yes.
state, you know, the state marker.
Yes.
That does tell the story. The only thing I was thinking is just the date of the photograph, so people see when it,
Okay.
you know, that's the only, you know,
Yeah.
it's like circa 1863,
Okay.
or, you know.
Well, I send you all the photograph of the Phoenix building. There were two, possibly one showed the temperance fountain included and
I
the
love that one.
porch.
I like that one too.
I like that one that tells.
If I
the-
can't put a fountain in, might as well
I
put a
know,
picture.
I know.
Okay, sure.
So Lily, I guess my thing would be, I would just like to see a couple options. What the cost would be if we had just the photo,
Okay.
and then if we did, because it might be, another, I don't know,
Okay.
$50 to have a little blurb, I don't know, but let's just kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah.
But I agree with Dave, no just green box, we're gonna do it. We're gonna
Let's do
it
it.
all the way.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What I would love to consider is wherever that page about the Phoenix building exists online, whether or not it's historic, right, the village, whatever, somewhere that Phoenix building has a website dedicated to it with a lot of words. I think it'd be great if we had a little scan code somewhere down below.
QR code.
That QR code, right? So somebody could go and then, I don't need it all on the thing, but I think it'd be helpful. to
Very
have.
cool.
You can have a little placard.
Yep.
That doesn't have to be a part of this quote.
No.
What we can do is we can have one made and make a decal and just stick
Yeah,
it
you
right
just stick it on, right?
Yeah, they do that in
Yeah.
Saratoga
How do
Springs.
how
They do
does
it all
that?
throughout Saratoga.
Well, I think you can make it a net code for anyone.
One more question before I
Okay,
take
so
this.
we all love the idea, right? We're good on, but let's focus on, let's
Do you
wrap
see
this
the
up.
building all around, or do you see it just on two sides and then, plain color on the back? In other words,
Yeah, I see
you don't
where
want
you're
the building to go all around the
I
junction,
think you want to be able to see the way it looked.
right?
Yeah,
I'm just asking questions.
so you do one shot on one side and
So
one
I
shot
can
on
tell
the
it.
other? Or do you do two separate?
Again, I'd like to get a feel for cost difference. I mean, if you do one side, that means that the opposite, there's gonna be two sides that are just gonna be plain gray.
No, but
Or
what-
can you just do a
Sorry.
can you just do an applique? on one
I've seen
Direct.
wraps where you have, let's say, the sepia photo
Yeah,
of the early days of the building on one side of the box, and the same photo is actually on the other side. So people, depending on which direction you're coming from, you still have that visual cue.
To the main side, so the skinny sides don't have to have anything.
Yeah, or they just show a little bit of a sepia
or a little
wrap.
wrap, a little
It
wrap.
just, they just blend it
Mhm.
pretty much.
Okay.
But this company should know about
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, I'm sure they
yes.
will.
This isn't, like a
Right.
rocket science thing, they're wrapping a box.
Okay.
Yeah, Zach,
Just want to remind you guys that this all has to go before the DOT.
Yep.
for-
nice stuff, yep. Mhm.
Is it possible?
But you know who's a good contact on that is Renee, because Renee already looked into that, yeah.
And he did send me, Jeremy did send me an email yesterday saying that he has sent all of the information to Albany and expects to hear back shortly. Okay?
Well, there we go.
Is it possible to have different pictures on the different sides, or is it too small? If you're
You-
looking at one side, you're looking up Main Street.
Right.
And if you're looking straight
And
at
you're
the
looking at the building
Phoenix,
behind
you've
it.
got just.
I mean, you
Yeah.
could, but we could see what Vicki comes up with too, because she has tremendous archives.
Yes, I went through them.
So why don't we have her come up with a couple
Okay.
different,
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4.
Is this going on the next agenda?
Okay.
Well, or is that enough time to just
Yes,
circle
I've
back?
already
Even if
met
it's
with
just a
Just so
note.
I know.
Yeah,
Might be
yes,
on the next
yes,
agenda.
action item next
And Lily, if
agenda.
you need help with that, I can help too.
Yes. Oh, there we go, okay. Okay, next up, consideration of the sign order from Sign Language for the Village Gateway replacement sign.
Ding-a-ding. And I also took a picture in East Rochester of their sign.
And apparently when it printed it,
Ah, it turned out so well. I sent it too big.
we got East Oxford.
It's too big, sorry. You'll notice the bottom
Mhm.
has stones.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's,
that's exactly
we're
what we
already
should
there.
do,
Yep, we're already there.
just like that.
Yep, looking good.
All right, so I guess what we're saying is, does the board wish to move forward with the ordering of this sign?
I would like to circle back on something that I brought up at the last meeting, that I would like to have something on this sign, either a board across the bottom or something that says, historic district. So we're preserved, we're on the National Register, we're locally designated, we're designated at the state level, something that identifies the fact that when you see the sign, Village of Pittsburgh. it
What about
comes-
instead of saying incorporated in 1827, we say National Historic District?
Whatever,
For
but I
instance.
think, sure, something.
So, I
You
mean,
know.
this might be a minor point, but I mean, there's part of the village that's not in the National Register Historic
Okay,
District.
so just how would we, if somebody gives
The
me.
bulk of the
words-
village is on the National Register, and I think really what we're doing is, it's not so much, where this sign is, you're entering an historic district. The bulk of the village is on the National Register, I don't know, I think we're parsing it a bit. I think it just sets the tone for the fact that you're coming into a very special and unique area. And I can tell you, I've been in Saratoga Springs, they have, some, other villages have these signs up, and not the entire municipality isn't necessarily identified as the historic district. What's going for us is the bulk of our
Okay,
village is
instead of
historic
saying
district.
incorporated, if somebody, gives us the words, and we'll just send it
Okay.
to sign language and say, instead of incorporated, we'll do
Or what if we were to put incorporated 1878, just in smaller lettering up here? See where I'm looking?
up here.
Yeah, and this just comes, just across the top, just there, just like little letters, just put in, just so people know when it was incorporated, and then historic district or National Historic District.
Okay, or whatever, maybe they'll say, look, you guys need to do it this way.
Yeah, they might have a few little
Yeah,
ideas to
okay.
tweak it or something, because.
Could be a second banner, for instance, on the bottom, or a
Mhm.
wider banner.
And
Says-
sometimes they do just a placard going across the bottom, I've seen that.
Okay,
In towns in Massachusetts, when I lived in Massachusetts, so I'm just gonna draw real quick.
well, if we give them the words, they'll
Yeah,
make them
exactly.
up for us.
So, it would be even like a placard like this, do you see where I'm going? And it
Mhm.
just says
Yeah,
National
things make the
Historic
sign a little
District.
wider.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all, there's nothing more than that. But I bet you they'll have some good ideas in terms of scale and how
Yeah.
it'll look,
okay. So I guess the question is, does the board want to put a number on it and say, yes, they want to move forward and that we're approved up to this amount of money? I think that, what was it?
$4,172.50, that was a quote from.
Well, that was,
April.
if
Do
we
we need
take
to
out,
revisit that?
take out the track cabinet.
What payment?
So it's just the quote that pertains to,
So
Oh, that's the deposit. Hold on.
Hang on, yeah, let's,
They're two different.
So-
Yeah, I see
Right.
that.
so let's net it out.
No, because you got delivery, 500,
550, 800.
550, 800 for this, 150 for that.
Does the board want to see the additional verbiage and what it looks like before we approve it?
I think we should.
Yes.
So why don't we just pause on that, work on the final wording, what it looks like,
Give us some.
have the final quote,
Bring it
and
back.
then bring it
Present it
back.
to us.
But I think
Okay.
we're all on board, it's
Yeah, I
just
think
a
it's gonna
matter of
pass.
getting it
We
right.
can probably turn it around pretty quick, too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Does anybody like, I don't know, if you do the idea of that additional wording beyond like a hanging chain sign?
Yeah,
It
either
gives it a
that,
little
or
bit.
it may be more stable to be,
oh, yeah.
just real quick,
Yeah.
just to show you on what's called like a placard,
Yeah.
just going across, it might be more
Additional-
stable.
Um,
Yeah, because we have issues sometimes with people damaging signs, and
Okay.
something on the chain could
The
disappear.
sure it looks like
polyurethane
this.
foam, there isn't really a whole lot to them.
Yeah, they're not carved wood or anything.
Oh, okay.
They're,
Yeah, I was thinking about something more substantial. So somehow just building it a little lower.
yeah, and
Do it.
the company may have some ideas
Yeah.
in terms of,
Or they just lower that blue section a little bit. Okay. But
Okay.
looks great.
okay, so we're gonna circle back on that. Thanks for the work on that, Lily.
I don't know.
Okay, next up, the refuse district bid. Yep, so we're circling back on that.
Yep.
We have the district.
Okay.
This is great.
This was the bid we used last time, we did tweak it a little bit, change some things, because, we have a little bit more time. The last time we had the quote, when we put it out, or not quote, we actually had a bid, the concern even expressed, we heard from other vendors, there wasn't enough time to really put a bid doc together to research the area. So my suggestion to the board, to allow enough time to get it done, then notify the residents, allow time for cancellation of trash service to pick up on June 1, to make sure it hits budget and everything else are right. Maybe even go out to bid like October 1st, have it due like November 15th.
Sure.
Yeah, that's 6 weeks, that's
Yeah, I
good.
mean, we know we know what we want, let's just get it out there.
Fine with all of that.
Yeah, just get it
Jeff,
moving.
did you want to take another cursory review to make sure everything's fine with the contract first?
Yeah,
before-
another
And I'll
step.
bring it back to the next meeting if everything looks
Okay.
okay.
And then the other thing too that Dorothy and I were talking about, because when we have our sewer runs going out in January, what we can do is put an enclosure in every single bill, that this is what's going on, this is where we are.
Okay.
This is the steps you need to take to cancel your service by this date, get the
That's
timeline
great.
so people know, in addition to all the other, bulletins, postings, but that way every household gets
Do
it.
we want to do that only after we get a bid we know we're going to accept?
Well, we'll have them back by
We'll
then.
have time.
Oh, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, that's why we're saying it
Yeah.
kind of dovetails with the timeline.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
getting it out early enough that we have some leeway to play.
Okay, so we're good with that?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
for that.
Okay, next up, just an update on the Clean Energy Community Program and some of the actions, and speaking of energy, ironically, though, this is about the conversion of our streetlights, not these. So we have been in touch, I know you guys have been working with RG&E and with our liaison through the program. And we have something like 113 lights to convert. Once we do that, we get to our next level of that funding to keep going on all of these sustainable projects. So right now, we have, what is it, the 20,000? 17,000 we have? Okay,
We have 20.
I thought it was 20.
We have 20,000 we received in grant.
No, 20,000 in cash, we have 1,700 points.
No, I'm asking about the money, not
Oh,
the
yeah.
points.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't the point.
20,000 that
Yeah,
we
we're
received.
kind of interested in the cash component. Okay, so we're 20,000, and so really the action that we're looking for tonight is to go ahead with that next level of the conversion of the streetlights. And do you want to just talk about that? They just refit the housing, is that what it is?
I believe, depending on the light fixture itself, requires either a completely new fixture head or the mast arms that are like overhead.
Oh, the Cobras, yeah.
For the decorative light poles that you would see like
Through here.
along Main Street here, I believe that is an entire new fixture head, which they've replaced like 4 or 5 of them along the Main Street here. If you look at them hard enough, you'll notice there's a difference.
Well, because they've upgraded the technology.
It's a completely different head.
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, but they still have that lamp, yeah. So, and then if we finish this conversion, what is our next level that we would hit?
I believe we're still roughly will be 300 points short of the next level.
So we're getting closer to the next level, but my question really is, once we get to that next level, what is the money that we get?
Minimum would be 40K.
So we go up to the 40K to keep, okay, just so, we understand. And it's not like matching funds or anything. This is part of the program to help communities implement sustainable
Right.
projects.
And this is the same program that there was some conversation in the public about them getting rid of next year's budget, or was it the budget after?
They backed down.
They did back down.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a lot of strong feedback.
Yeah, I remember seeing the risk.
Yeah.
But it still speaks to the fact that we probably should move forward if we're going to expect
Yeah.
anything before or sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we sat with Rob on the phone the other day with him and his 3-week or 3-month-old baby.
Oh,
And, but he's gonna take a good look at our program, and try and find some other low-hanging fruit for us to grab to get to that next level of 3,000 points, which would give us, right now it's 50,000, but at the end of September it drops to 40,000.
yeah,
And funding, he's not sure how long the funding is going to last, because
So we keep
people
going.
have bought into it, and the money's going out, so it's something that if the village is really interested in, we
Yeah.
really need to.
thank you.
The streetlights are the next step.
Sure. Thank you for that. Yeah, and that's really dovetails with what we're thinking
What was
too.
the estimate we received on the conversion of the streetlights?
It was 14,000 and change.
Okay, roughly 15,000 going in. And then, so Dorothea, the action that you need tonight is what, to
If the board
amend?
wants to move forward, this is not a budgeted item, but
Mhm.
we received funds from, that have been put into, it's kind of like the ARPA funds, it was put into a little pocket, and it's sitting there, so I would need to amend the budget to use the funds we received from NYSERDA for this particular, it had to be used for a sustainable project. So we have 20,000 in there, so I would just say move the 15,000 to cover.
Cover the expenses of the remaining conversion of the
Correct,
streetlights.
so technically it wouldn't be, it would be the grant money that would cover that conversion.
Where is this in the packet?
I don't have any material related to the conversion.
Okay, then we're not going to vote on it, right?
This was brought to me yesterday.
Okay, then let's wait until the next meeting, and then we've got, I would
Do we have
say,
time?
at least for me to vote for this, I would want to see what the proposal is, how much it costs, where the money's coming from, and then I think the board has it in front of them to actually consider it.
Well, the money's coming from the grant from the CEC program.
Right, yeah.
It's not, we're not taking it out of general fund or
It's
anything.
money, it's money that we received because of being participants in the program, because we reached certain levels.
I appreciate it. I think that at least for me to vote for something where we're talking about allocating $15,000 or so, I would want to see it in the packet so that we can consider what the options are and know what the item is before the meeting. But if others want to vote for it, that's great. I would not be
Well,
in
the
favor.
money must go to a sustainable project. I mean, that, and they've already been identified, and that was presented by Rob Richardson to this board quite a while back, delineating all of the projects. And so this is in the pipeline of what we've already agreed to do, to work on. And
Could be a
so
great idea.
we're not taking money out of a general fund or any type of reserve. Essentially, it is like an ARPA funding.
It's in with the ARPA money.
Similar to ARPA, though, it's pretty open-ended, so I'm looking at Rob's
Mhm.
comments right here, I forget when they were, but projects to consider with grant money, LED street conversions, LED lighting upgrades in municipal facilities, holiday LED lighting, other energy efficiency upgrades at municipal facilities, EV charging stations, energy audit, community campaigns, public education on clean energy sustainability, electric lawn equipment.
And we
I'm
purchased
actually-
an electric mower.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of different, as Trustee Marshall is pointing out, there are a lot of different options for this, and I feel like it's not a good board practice to vote on this kind of a thing without having any kind of a heads up in the packet so we can really consider it before the meeting, so
Okay.
the public can consider it.
Okay. Yep. So let's squash it for now.
Just get you the estimates.
I'll reach back out to Aaron, I'll get a current number and go from there. This, the longer you wait, the less possibility
Yeah.
it is for the village to gain the money to say.
Miss out on the funding, but
This
that's okay.
was brought up months ago in regards to that, and said, we brought up the same proposal for the lights.
This was presented to the board.
Same thing was said back then, well,
But-
what if we could use it for something else? And in between,
So all I would say for our next meeting, right, 2 weeks from now, just provide us a list of options, the cost of the one that we want to get done, right? And let us at least see it on an agenda, and then we'll vote on it.
Okay, let's do that. That's the action item. Okay, moving on.
That's fine.
Okay.
Did you want to talk about you guys did have me include about the clean,
Oh,
The task
the
force.
community task force.
oh, right.
This one.
Yep.
You need my paper?
Community task.
No, I have it right here.
Or the smart,
Yeah, in other words, it's called the low hanging fruit, where as part of the program, it's about implementing a community task force, and you can see, it was in your packet. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that.
I probably didn't get
Okay.
to this.
And they meet twice a year, and it's residents. And you also, I think we can have somebody from DPW on that as well, which I think would be appropriate. Because you're dealing with like street trees or looking at programs for the community. You can see it right here. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And really what we would just need would be, direction to be able to set up and establish the community task force and what that would look like.
I think we just need to do it internally. Frankly, if we.
Okay, so we don't get the points then for that. and we
Oh,
don't
we
fund
get
it.
points for
yeah,
that.
that's what we're saying. That's why we're doing, we're trying to get the low hanging fruit.
That's a good chunk of points for us.
How many points do we get to have
It's-
5 years
Eligible for
together?
more grant money.
Okay, so.
Everything here is geared to the
Sorry,
positive
I missed
outcome.
that. I just thought this was another way to.
No, there's no
Uh,
subterfuge.
no, I
This is
wasn't
part of the
thinking that.
program.
I wasn't thinking that.
this
I was like,
one, what this one does, there's climate smart, there's clean energy,
yeah,
all right? The climate smart, we're a member, but we aren't certified bronze.
This
All right,
is-
in order to get certified bronze, you have to create this task force. Once you're certified bronze, you get another 1,200 points on the clean energy community.
See, there's two different programs that we're working with, and this helps us get the additional points to the next level of the program, which gets us X amount of dollars. I don't even know what the
What I
bronze
was
is.
saying, there's a community that through their whole
Yeah.
units gave $400,000 in grant money.
Yeah,
okay, so then we have to do this, get.
I really want to explain something, and also just for the residents. Every single thing, every action between these two programs is completely geared to a positive outcome and best practices and sustainability.
I was worried it was going to slow us down and it wasn't part of the point.
No,
But
this
if we're getting points
Yeah, we're
and
good.
somebody wants to do
Yeah,
some
we're
work,
good.
like,
you get the points, you get the money.
Okay. So who designates
Okay.
You do?
That's all this
You do?
okay.
I think everybody agrees that these are all oriented towards a positive
Mhm.
outcome, but if we don't manage it well, then it might have costs, and we might not get the best outcome that we could, which is why,
Mhm.
I insisted on having the what we're spending and where the money is going in
Mhm.
the packet. And with this program as well, I think that, it's great if we want to have a committee talking about clean energy in the village and that kind of stuff, and if we get points for it, that's very good.
Mhm.
Are there other ways, that there also comes a cost to the village because we're reaching out to residents, we've got administrative staff working on it, we've got other meeting times. We've got more coordination with another board.
Mhm.
And we don't really have hundreds of residents flowing to work on the boards that we have. So the town has a group like this. And I wonder if, you know.
And the
a lot of
town has
things-
gotten their points.
Yeah, so why can't we just use their group?
I want to have village residents on this. This is about our village, and I would think that the board members would feel pretty strongly about that as well. But be that as it may, this is what I'm thinking. Let's put all this on in the next agenda, and I'm going to ask Rob Richardson to zoom in, and maybe he can help answer some questions and work through it with the board again, just so everybody really understands what this is about.
So
Okay.
in other words, the
So
town
we're heading
has one of
towards
these.
8 o'clock.
The
Yeah.
town has a task force.
Oh, yeah, they're at silver, I think. They're way up.
Residents on the task force.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can use
they-
their
they-
task force?
Can we simply
Okay.
appoint the town task force as our task force?
I'm not comfortable doing that. I would
I'm
like
just
to
asking the
engage,
question.
I would like to engage our residents, and I thought specifically, it's interesting because your concern is for the other boards we have in the village to engage residents.
Again, I'm just.
Where are we
asking the
going with
question.
this, guys?
I'm just asking the
Well,
question.
yeah, we're asking the
Mhm.
question. I think it's one that's worth talking
Yep.
about. I do know that there is a village resident who is active on that board.
Yeah,
And so by going with that board, we'd still be getting village
and
representation.
I've spoken with a number of village residents that are excited about our programs and would love to participate in any way they can.
Well, I think this is just a discussion we're having. I don't
We
think
are having the
anybody's upset
discussion.
about it. It's just, trying to explore the
I guess I'm a
possibilities.
little frustrated because all of this has been presented to the board. Rob Richardson came in and he sat here and presented all of this to the board, and we've had numerous meetings, we've been giving you updates all along.
And we're talking about it as a board.
Okay, great, I think that's fantastic.
I don't see the problem.
Let's keep
with that.
going on that, sure, yep. But does that make sense to bring it back then, with everything on the
Yeah,
next
I
agenda?
think it's good.
And have Rob come back, just so we're all kind of really understanding again, where we can go with this and what we can do, okay?
Do we want the Siemens guy to come back too?
Sure,
I mean, it
Yeah.
was good. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a good program. The town's getting on
yeah, the
board with that
town's
program.
already signed on, they've gotten a
Right.
lot of good stuff done.
I would suggest you move into another meeting.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on the next agenda, maybe the one after that,
Yeah.
if we can make that an action item.
Yeah, maybe just have that be one of those, hey, when we have time on a meeting, just keep sort of sliding it
Mhm.
until it's the right time to invite them.
Yeah.
But I remember the last conversation I had with him is, let's get through the budget, let's get through the long-term capital plan, and then, of course, we had short-term rentals. But I think it's a good time to bring that back.
Mhm.
And Mayor, I
Mhm.
do equally like using village residents for these boards. It was just simply a question because this is less specific to our code and more specific to just a broader regional efficiency goal. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I'm certainly encouraged by us trying to move some of these things forward and spend some money that we have.
I think the more we can engage residents at every possible level and have that opportunity to do it, we should do it first and foremost. And I thought that was a compatible thought with the rest of the board. That's all. Okay, so moving on. Why don't we do the reports before we?
I was just going to suggest.
Yeah, okay, building inspector report, and within the report, you're going to give us a stormwater update, just in terms of,
Where did this come up?
It's under me.
that's under Dorothea's
Thank
report.
you. I just wanted.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay,
Thank you.
so we're going to get to that, okay? Anything for Steve? Or do you want to start with it? Why don't you just give quickly the stormwater update, just kind of where we are?
All right, we prepared and recently had a DEC audit. I don't know if you're aware of that. We had a DEC audit of our MS4 program. We are part of the Stormwater Coalition of Monroe County. The DEC came in and audited our paperwork, our facilities. We have to make a few changes. We will probably get we're satisfactory, the highest you can get is satisfactory with the DEC, which is not great, excellent, anything. Part of the thing is public outreach and public education. One of the requirements of the program, which is why it's an agenda item now, is to have an agenda discussion of stormwater in the village, an agenda item several times a year, so that we'll engage the public to think about stormwater and what we're
Right.
doing, what we
Sure.
dump down the drains, things like that. And in this public meeting setting, I would like to encourage the public, if they ever see something they consider illicit discharge, something that looks like it doesn't belong going down the drain, to contact this office for us to investigate.
And we're updating our website, and I know we already have information on our website,
Yeah.
but that's also, as I understand, a component of
Yes.
our storm, being a member of the Stormwater Coalition as
Yeah,
well.
and when the new site comes out, we'll make stormwater as its own heading. Most of the local communities, Harrington, Penfield, all those people have a stormwater heading on their main page, which is
Can you
also.
silence your phone, please? Is that okay?
Pardon?
No, that's okay. Can you silence your phone?
What?
Where is it? Oh, it's in the other room? Never mind, it's okay. I thought it was
Sorry.
here. Okay, that's all right. Keep
I thought
going.
I had. So like I said, we had an audit.
Yeah.
We actually didn't do too bad. It took a while to prepare. The Stormwater Coalition was very, very helpful in helping us prepare. We've made all the deliverables, the 6 months deliverables to the new permit. We received a new stormwater permit for the village January of this year. We have made all the deliverables required by 6 months. And then there's a couple for a year that will be, there's some requirements for a year. And then there's other new requirements that are paced out 5 years.
And then, so then now, their action item is what? They give us a little report
They're going
back?
to send a report.
Okay, so we'll, you know.
And then it'll come to the board.
Okay,
And at
great.
that time, that's another thing that we should, do in a public meeting to.
Okay, we can review it or
Yeah,
whatever's.
review it and report it to the public.
Okay, and I want to thank you for, I know you put in a ton of work preparing for this, and Zach too, I know you were part of this.
It was scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a tribunal.
With a lot of DEC and audit in the
Yeah.
same sentence, just,
Yeah, but they're helpful, and that's why they're here, so it was a good thing, so, yeah, thanks for that update. Is there anything else specifically for Steve? Yeah.
Steve, don't we have to do something on our code? Remember you and I talked about this?
oh, yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Part of the requirement is to make sure that our model stormwater law matches up with the state stormwater law.
Okay.
I had Jeff take a little look at it, and I think we're a little lacking
Okay,
on some of the requirements in the state law, so I would ask the board to direct Jeff to take a look at our model law compared to the state law and make sure they jive.
okay, so we need,
Part of what they wanted was me to sign a letter that said they equal each other, and they don't.
and so we need to bring that up current?
Yes.
Okay, so
That
that,
will be one of the requirements when they come back with a report,
Okay.
that is accomplished.
okay, so we need to direct Jeff to do so?
So moved. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. Okay. Thanks for that. All right. We're good? Do you have a question? Yep.
Yeah, just, so the rental application, what do you need from us to start the process? Just the approval of that application?
It's funny, because the last meeting, it was discussed, and if there were suggestions for changes, they're supposed to come to me. I've received nothing.
Okay, I make a
The
motion.
rental application is very simple, very straightforward.
Yeah.
It was presented.
We want you to take yes for an answer because he's going to make a motion.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve Steve's application for long-term rentals.
No more any rental.
Rental permits as provided at our last.
It gets us going.
meeting. Right,
Gets us going.
it can always be changed later.
Aye, second.
Okay, we have a second. Roll call.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Hi.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on.
Great.
Great.
Along the same lines, there was in the code, or in the packet, there was some information about building and building maintenance. Part of the section of the code was grabbed and put into our packet.
No, that was property maintenance.
Yeah, property
Yeah,
maintenance.
That was that was already done.
That was already
That was
done.
That was
That was part
specific
of
to the grease trap?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
It was
not
another
a piece.
part of the code.
Okay.
Yeah.
that was dealing with the commercial versus residential property maintenance.
Upkeep, property.
I misinterpreted
And just
that.
amending it to make sure it's
Yeah,
covering
you
commercial.
recused
Yeah, our
yourself.
rental code already allows for maintenance checks and property maintenance requirements.
Got it. If I may, in looking at that code, when I read it, I actually read it as stricter than perhaps what some properties seem like they might be held to. Do you feel like there might be some properties with overgrown shrubbery and other various things that, do you wait for a resident to call attention to it? Or do you sort of say, remind them with a little note or knock on the door? How does that work usually?
If there's something egregious, like say somebody's, plants are growing over the sidewalk, blocking traffic, I will say something.
Yeah.
We have, an instance of a lawn that's overgrown, we investigate, find out, whose it is, can we contact them? No, the DPW went and cut a lawn for us. I typically don't go out and, kind of look at
Search it
people's
down, right,
shrubbery,
obviously.
things like that. But,
Yeah. So, one of the reasons I ask is, when I read that, I sort of read it initially thinking it was new. And then I had to kind of go back and realize, okay, this isn't new, this exists. And so then in the context of the rental applications and dovetailing in with what residents had said about short-term rentals and long-term rentals, and short-term rentals tend to be cared for better. And I guess my question is, sure, they may be, there's profit motive or incentive different than there is in a long-term rental, but in our community, in that code, I sort of think, and with the rental applications and the permitting year by year by year, there might be a little bit more teeth to what we have than I think what we might have been using. And it's just a sort of open-ended thought discussion to ponder. We'll leave it at that.
Well, the board sees, because I don't have a right for inspection to just walk up to somebody's house and inspect it.
That's right.
The difference with the rental registration. Now it allows me to
Yeah.
knock on the door,
Yeah.
make an
It's
appointment,
enabling.
go in, and I check for safety, that's basically what it is, it's a safety inspection.
Right.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
great, thank you.
thank you, Steve. Next up, DPW. Anything for Zach?
Looking good.
How's it going, Zach?
A lot of- Where does he begin?
Well enough, you're gonna be smiling.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything.
Yeah, the only thing I present to you guys is just the.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And thanks, I know there's been some transition and hiring and, a lot of moving parts, so, thanks for keeping everybody's head above water, as they say, right? No, and the village is looking great, and, yeah, we got a lot of compliments and all the pretty flowers and everything, it's all looking great. Okay, treasurers.
I have a few things tonight. I figured, what the heck. So we have our bill pay, it was anticipated, so is there any questions or concerns in this bill pay that was presented? You will see we paid JD Tree for the invasive
Sure did.
removal, which was successful. That was one of our big tickets.
That was the ARPA?
No,
Oh, no, that wasn't, no.
wasn't it?
Was it ARPA?
I think it was.
I think it was, actually.
Yeah,
it was ARPA.
Yeah.
It was ARPA.
I was right
I'm
first.
Right. That was last year, I've moved on.
I know, yeah, that was 10 years
I
ago.
funded that last year, it's all good. Yes, so that was the big ticket in this timeframe, so nothing too surprising really in our expenses, so I just need approval to go ahead and pay these.
Make a motion to pay the bill pay as presented.
A second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, so moving on, we received June and July financials. June is kind of boring, nothing much happens in June. July starts a little bit getting exciting, we're still pretty good. The only thing, I am going to need a budget transfer, and I included that. And that is due to, but let me hit the high points of July, because there's really nothing to hit in June. Let's look at our revenues. We have our general accounts with interest is coming in fabulous. Again, this is starting to look like an ongoing picture, so maybe next year we do increase the anticipated revenue, but we got a long time before we get into that budget. And our interest on reserves again came in very nice.
Are we able to, I mean, rates are clearly coming down. We're probably going to be going down 75 basis points, 0.75 within like 3 to 4 months. When do our CDs come due?
I think I just renewed them for 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, they're usually 2 months.
I do, 2 months is a sweet spot, 3 months can be too long if we have something that occurs 1 month. is
Okay, so you're just managing it to cash flow risk or expenses here more
Yeah.
so than anything else.
Yeah, and we've already met our revenue goals for the year, so it's not, it'll be nice to get that, that's additional, and I'd like seeing the additional, but I'm not concerned with this year's budget. Okay, so I just want to point this out, this is something I got to work out with the software. We did set up a separate fund for South and Wood Streets, as the board remembers. Inadvertently, we charged something to the general fund for South and Wood that should have gone to that fund, but it's not, our software can be a little quirky. It's not set up with its own checkbook, so it can't spend money because, so I got to work it out with the software company. You're going to see that negative until I can resolve the issue. Okay?
The software is kind of unwieldy, really.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yes. Where we went negative for general and sewer, and this is the budget transfer I'm asking for, is workers' compensation. We took the estimate from our insurance company, we were within, I think it's like $1,000, so, not too bad.
It's making up the difference then.
Yeah, we just need to make up the difference. But I will state with the workers' compensation, we did pay that. We have in recent years been receiving a good-sized dividend up to 35%, which comes back, but that just comes back as a revenue into our revenue lines. We don't count it against that expense because we never know if we're going to get the dividend. Okay? So that is your only budget transfer. Is there? I can't make anything exciting out of June and July, unless there was something, the board had any questions regarding.
Good.
Make a motion to approve the May and June and July. June and July financials as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes. Can I have approval, oh my goodness, for the budget transfers?
It came out a little bit wonky, but I can still understand what it's saying.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the budget. So I need them for both general and sewer.
Is there a motion?
Can it be a combined motion?
Yeah, that's
So I'll make a combined motion to approve the budget transfers for general and sewer as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lanfair?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Coe? Aye. Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, let me go to my list and make sure. Okay, I did include, everybody received the alcohol beverage license request?
I didn't see it. Maybe,
It probably wasn't in that.
Oh, here. Oops, I got it.
I can pass it around. It is
Oh, do you
a
have copies?
notification, yes, and I thought I included it in the packet, but I might not. It's our 30-day advance notice. This came in right after packet, and it's for 9 South Main Street.
Yeah, I think it's in the, this
Is
part.
that the tequila real?
what is that?
I don't know what it is.
Oh, I know. This is,
It's-
I understand.
I think it's actually all in the
9
packet.
South Main Street.
I didn't see
Oh, it's in
that.
your pack, it's in the packet?
It is in the package,
I
right?
didn't see
Oh, I'm
it.
sorry.
It wasn't in the packet.
Oh, that I
Oh,
Because it was
okay.
the
Okay, so
timing
this
thing.
is what this is.
Can you pass it to me?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have it, Jake? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
It's not 9,000.
that's my question. The name on there, did it change hands?
Is that the
Oh,
tequila?
wait, this is Thirsty.
Wait, let me-
No, this is on South
No,
Main.
that's 8 State. There's.
Nine South Main.
Tequila.
Tequila.
It's the
Yeah.
tequila
What is it?
place, Blue Horn.
Blue Horn.
Blue Horn.
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
it's
the
not
name?
even,
Who's applying?
Sluman, Brad Sluman.
Walk of Shame LLC
Yeah,
to be formed, so it
So
sounds like.
it's changing hands.
Oh, he's selling it.
It's changing hands.
So I think that triggers it to come back in for a special permit, correct?
Not if he sells the entity.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
Yeah,
still?
it would.
Does.
And it's
Yeah,
a
but it's
restaurant.
permitted
It's not
based on
permitted,
the
it's not in the
owner, not
tavern
the-
district, so it's a
Not
restaurant.
the establishment.
And this says
Well,
bar.
pause for a second, though, sorry to interrupt, but if there's a restaurant that's successful and the restaurant gets sold from one owner to another owner,
Only be a restaurant,
why does,
This is,
and
this
it's
is, this is
not in the
our
tavern district.
I didn't, Lily, I didn't hear you, what?
Pardon me?
I didn't hear Lily, what did you just say?
I thought it had to be a restaurant in that district, in the TDD.
still need a liquor license?
And they're
Yes,
listing it,
special
as-
use permit for a restaurant.
Yeah.
and they're listing it as a bar tavern.
Right,
Hmm.
they're listing it as a bar tavern.
I understand that, but it's not in the tavern district, so I don't understand what,
That application says bar tavern, is that correct?
that's correct. Doesn't say
That could be a
restaurant.
response, is this is not a permitted.
And
use.
then what was, so the Tequila Rio then was a restaurant?
Mhm.
Technically, yeah, it's better.
Yeah,
The trade name
That's
is
their
the
application, and
bar.
a special use
I
permit
know.
states restaurant.
Huh.
And you're laughing, but it's.
No, I was laughing
No,
with
we're not
justice,
laughing.
which is,
we were just
the
trying to
trade
understand
name
the
is the
circumstances.
bar, which is ironic for a restaurant.
Right,
Well, the
So,
type of establishment is listed as bar/tavern.
right, so that's,
I'm looking at the use, that's what it
well, they
says.
have I didn't look.
If they
further
said
than
bar
that.
tavern restaurant,
Do they have,
it would have been in.
I don't
isn't
want
there on that
back there.
form somewhere what they're going to, the operation or something? You scroll down.
Hang on.
In some ink, if this is a transfer application, provide the name and serial number of the license. No, 9.
The trade name is, they're gonna call it the bar.
That's what the restaurant,
Uh-huh.
that's what it's gonna be called,
They're
the
gonna call it
bar?
bar.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, right.
That's a,
Let's go look at that.
Yeah, see,
Hmm.
trade, what was it, trade name?
Yeah, I just got this yesterday.
the patio's out there.
That's been there. Well, if it's not a permitted use, what are we doing with this?
We're
You
not.
gotta tell them it's not a permitted use.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah,
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 So-
although that could be just a
Renewal?
designation that, maybe the only one that applies, but,
type of establishment,
yeah.
bar tavern.
I mean, I don't know how the,
I'm reading between the
how the
lines.
original wasn't a bar tavern, I don't think
Slash
they
me.
ever served that in there.
I'm not sure how it was applied under their original liquor license.
I think it was supposed to be a restaurant, because I think in the beginning they did serve little,
If, for our purposes, it was a restaurant.
Yeah, it was a restaurant.
that's what it was, yeah.
But for the liquor authorities, what?
What? What?
No, we were talking about Blue Horn.
Yes, I am, I'm talking about
Right.
Blue Horn, that has been operating as a bar and not a restaurant.
We have to look at the original special permit.
That's correct, and they were supposed to have a kitchen in the basement.
Yeah,
Right, so if it's not, then it's an illegal use.
That's correct, it's been operating illegally for the past 4 years.
well, that happened, because now they're selling.
And they can't sell an illegal,
Understood. We're all saying the same thing to each other in different ways.
So what do we do?
So the first thing,
I'm going to do mine an interpretive dance.
They had
I thought it would be an interpretive gesture.
I got started.
For a while, they had salsa
That
and
would be a
chips and a
gesture.
couple little things.
They were offering some food items with a microwave and some.
No, that's not it.
Yeah.
They have a kitchen.
Yeah, well, there is a kitchen in the basement, there was one,
Yeah, there is.
Still be.
yeah.
Might still be.
Is it are they using it?
I don't go in there.
Because that's when the kitchen restaurant was next door, and then they had the lounge,
Right.
and that was adjacent, and the lounge had a basement kitchen.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute, hold on. Both facilities have to have a restaurant.
That's correct.
Understood, we're,
All right,
Yeah, we're all
okay,
there.
we're gonna turn the cards over, and now we're gonna go to what are our action items?
Right.
so the first action item is to right back to the liquor authority and say, this is not a permitted use. Bar taverns can't exist in this zone. The special permit granted for this use,
The restaurant.
to the previous owner only, was a restaurant, and then we need to find that special permit.
Yeah.
Before I can work her magic fingers to find that
Special permit.
special permit for tequileria, right? I'm sure that the conditions will, or the application will, along with conditions, indicate that there was going to be a restaurant.
Right.
Because there's no way this board would have approved it otherwise.
I agree. Will you be drafting that letter?
Will I be drafting that letter?
I think you should be directed to do so, sir.
Isn't there a 30-day comment? What's,
I just got it.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we.
All right, well, yes.
We're directing a letter to the liquor authority or to the owner?
They're gonna
Step
see-
one's the liquor authority. And they may just say, oh, that's fine, and then just ignore it. But then the next step is the owner. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I would.
You've done both. It's fine.
I wouldn't think you would have to do that in person.
I'm not, no, this is only the liquor authority.
Okay, yeah.
So
We are directing our attorney to respond to this to the liquor authority.
Okay.
The applicant can be notified as well and should be
Yeah,
of the action by the board. Am I correct?
Well, I'll copy the attorney.
Yes,
We have an
the attorney of record for the applicant. Yes, indeed.
The next thing we got to do is, we have to have an inspection to see what's going on.
That's what I'm saying, I'll reach out to Farinello and find out what's going on.
Yeah,
Right. Before you do that, you got to have the special permit so you know what's required.
Yeah, okay.
yes, Zach.
I'm
So
saying,
that's the second action.
Okay,
Steve is going to do an inspection based
Second action.
upon
I already got it.
complaint.
oh, you're on it. Okay. Yes, Zach had a question or a comment.
I'm sorry, I'm just curious what constitutes a kitchen, like what makes a kitchen a kitchen?
There's a definition.
There's a definition.
If it's in there, you don't have to
It's in
say,
there.
I'm just curious.
Oh, no.
Okay.
He keeps the code book right on his
No, I
nightstand.
didn't,
No, there is.
What's the address
Well,
there?
no, more
It's
important.
nine,
I'm
yeah.
not sure there's a definition
I think
of, implicitly there's a definition of kitchen. There's a definition of a restaurant. And
Yes.
It requires a kitchen under the direction of a chef,
so a microwave.
not kitchen.
Restaurant shall mean a place which is regularly and in a bona fide manner used and kept open for the serving of meals to guests for compensation, and which has suitable kitchen facilities connected therewith, containing conveniences for cooking an assortment of food, and it goes on. But, I mean, it's,
Does it say something about under the supervision of, or is that the old definition?
yeah, which must at all times be in charge of a chef with the necessary help and kept in sanitary condition with proper amount of refrigeration for keeping of food on said premises, must comply with all regulations of the Department of Health.
So to be food safe certified, it's a thing.
Food required for ordinary meals.
So no salsa and chips do not qualify.
So.
They did in COVID.
See, I mean, because you could designate someone as a chef, I'm.
No, okay.
No, this is not a game. It's what does the CEO think about what they're doing compared to what the definition? Just because they think salsa and chips might not.
Well, and it goes on to define guests, which are persons who during the hours when meals are regularly served therein come to a restaurant for the purpose of obtaining and actually order and obtain at such time in good faith a meal therein.
Mhm. Pretty specific.
Can I just make an argument here? So earlier this evening, I had a motion fall flat with the intent to not have additional personal use spas and salons come in. We have a clearly, I think, bar that was approved as a restaurant that closes quite early and seems to have done reasonably well over the last 4 years. It's been nice for the community and attracts visitors at times that is quite nice. My challenge is our code blooming backwards? Should we be thinking about having additional bar opportunities, late night opportunities, possibly with times that are permitted that are a little earlier than forever? right? So you want to be a bar tavern, and we say, you get this, you close at 9, you
Because we
close at 10.
can't do that.
It's under
Cannot
the liquor license.
Yeah.
You have to apply the same rules to everything. So if you have a zone where the restaurants are permitted to be open until 10 o'clock, then the bar is going to be permitted open to 10 o'clock too.
Okay, so then.
But the liquor license can have longer pouring hours.
Not if we don't allow business.
Well, we don't allow it, but yes, you're at, yes.
But we cannot.
Thirsties has a 2 a.m.
You can't discriminate on
Yeah.
whether or not they are a bar or a restaurant or serve liquor or don't.
Mhm.
That's all up to the alcohol.
Yep.
So we currently have a tavern district that is until 2 AM. That is Thirsties, the library lot, and that's so we can have big tents and drink beer during celebrations, makes total sense to me. And then across the river, right? Could we have a tavern district overlay that's on the TDD where the requirement is you close before 10 o'clock?
As long as that's applied to all establishments.
It wouldn't have to be the parking lot or shown place. It could be just to, as long as it's not spot zoning, we could do it, right?
Yeah, but it has to, you can't just apply to bars and taverns. It's got to apply to any place where you go in and get alcohol.
Sure. That's
So-
fine, restaurants until 10, bars till 10, or whatever, like,
So do we want to put it on an agenda for further discussion if that's something you're interested in pursuing, just given the lateness and the agenda?
That sounds
and,
great. Let's
you know,
just say that
it's a
I'm
whole
really
other
annoyed
discussion maybe to have.
right, I'm really annoyed tonight. Like, what we want, we're essentially saying leave, and what we don't want, we're saying we're gonna keep all future ones, I want to keep the current ones. Right, so we're gonna go inspect and potentially say, hey, this is not a restaurant, right?
We throw 'em out.
And throw them out, and then we're gonna have a vacant building, because it can't be a restaurant, or maybe we approve it for a restaurant, but clearly a small bar staying open until like 9 or 10 o'clock, we're perfectly fine.
The problem is, this is the way the code is right now.
Right, so let's change the code.
Understood, so let's put it on the agenda. In other
Okay.
words, TikTok,
Okay,
you know.
fair enough, that's my.
Really good points, thank you, but let's bring it back
Has
so we can really.
Fairport really gotten to you?
No, I don't want to be fair. I don't want to be.
That's what it is, right?
No, I don't want to be Fairport at all. I don't want,
I'm
I
only kidding, I'm
appreciate
only-
Fairport. Our Fair, like
Okay.
their cannery is our Shane place, we did it 20 years ago.
I know, I'm only kidding.
Let's just make sure that we have a place.
Okay, so,
where-
but I think we really could revisit that.
Yeah, I like
For
that
sure.
idea.
I
So let's-
definitely, I'm totally
I'm
agree
just
with.
so annoyed.
So can
Okay.
we put that on the agenda?
Yeah,
we never do.
we'll put it in at some point. Okay, I'm trying to keep the show going.
Mary,
Congrats.
let's talk the front columns.
Steve, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay,
Bye, Steve.
thank you.
Let's talk the front columns.
Yep.
So it came back and forth with the DASNY grant, whether it was going to be a capital improvement on the front
Thanks,
columns
Susan.
and just not the facade being done. Because initially we thought the facade was all it needed. And it really went back and forth, so we finally said we needed to open up the columns to see what is going on.
Mhm. So the engineer came out, right?
Yeah, it was bad news. So the engineer came out. Basically, what was explained to me is 2 of the columns aren't even attached at the bottom. The other 2 are hanging by a thread. They have to all be replaced.
Whole column, or can
The
they,
whole column has to be.
they can't put the
No.
bottom in and?
No, it's too risky because of inspections and the seaming.
Holding up the roof.
It just can't be done. So Jennifer Aarons we reached out to the gentleman who did the restoration after the fire in the back. He provided us an estimate, we forwarded it on to DASNY. The good news, if there's good news, the good news with that is it became a capital improvement because it's the replacement of the full column.
Which matches the grant criteria.
Which matches the grant.
Thank
Yay,
goodness.
finally.
A win
Okay.
for the team.
But
using this
we
for
wanted you to
Yeah.
be aware that we are aware it's more than just the facade, it's not a paint, it's not
Mhm.
replacing wood, it's a full column replacement. As soon as DASNY approves the grant, items that we gave them, there was like 4 different items for capital.
Mhm.
Once they approve that in-house, it has to go to the state. They said, once it's approved in-house, we can move forward with those
Yeah.
repairs.
Mhm.
We are taking a minor risk that the state might kick it back, but we're kind of in a little critical mode with those columns. and I want to move forward once I get the DASME approval. Okay?
Because we don't want to go through a winter.
Right.
No.
You know, in other words, we have a
And
seasonal
I'm
window,
hoping.
so, and Mary and Nachi can do the work. Yeah, Lily.
So we're not necessarily assured of the funding. I have two questions. Not necessarily assured, but we're too far down the road now. One way or the other, we've got to do this,
Right.
whether we get grant money or not. So it's done.
But,
Okay.
but we are like 98%.
We're right there. He was waiting
That's
for
all
this
it is.
estimate
Okay.
to forward it
The
out.
likelihood of getting it.
Here's my question.
Just to bring the board, okay, go ahead.
I have more questions.
Go ahead.
Going forward, if this is what the board is going to talk about and approving, who will be the contract administrator on this project?
I'm the contract.
She is. I am going to suggest that the board consider either Jennifer or Aaron's or Steve or Nikki, who have the qualifications to make decisions based on what they're finding to any contract changes that are made.
Let me put this in
Yeah.
motion. I'm working with
We're working
those
with
two
them.
things.
Okay, we
They
want to,
oversight.
I think the board wants to
Yeah.
designate specifically.
Sure.
See, there's, yeah, right.
Sure.
I'm the
Standard practice.
contact person with DASME, okay?
Yeah, in other words,
All
she's,
the paperwork has to go through me.
Got
When
it.
it comes to
Admin,
this,
finance.
this is, if I
Okay,
can speak, this is like the bathroom downstairs. When we did the reconstruction of the bathroom downstairs, Jennifer Aarons, I don't want to say held my hand, but she pretty much oversaw the whole reconstruction. And she would put the bid docs together for this, because this is going to be a bidding situation. Yes, Marinacci fits the criteria for who we want to work on this. That doesn't mean there isn't another vendor out there. So it has to go out to bid. So Jennifer will run this project,
okay. I
okay?
just, yeah.
I don't have the qualifications to look in there and say it's
That
done
is all-
by Jen does, and her
Right.
engineer will do that. So
Okay.
yes, we will have,
and just so we're really clear, that has always been the intention. In fact, even when the engineer came out, Jen was there
Yeah.
with the engineer and helped to generate the report with the engineer. So Jen is actually in it every step of the way, even when we redo the medallions at the top, everything will be, essentially, it really will be, even though it's quote new, it's a restoration. It will be impeccably,
So that being, all that being said, I assume that we will have a contract,
oh, we're not there yet.
but when we do,
You will have contracts, you'll have bid documents you're gonna approve.
okay,
You're gonna have a lot of stuff coming your way on this.
got it,
Okay,
okay. So that, I think that, and maybe I got ahead of a little bit, I'm anticipating when they get it into the job, and they're right there, and they can
Jen's gonna
change.
be doing that. The minute they opened it up and Marinacci
Yeah,
saw the damage,
exactly.
we called Jennifer Aaron.
Okay, that's
and
right,
that's how we got the engineer, because the engineer is with Barrow.
yeah, right.
It's all
Yeah,
Barrow.
when it comes to this building,
Why don't we do this? Dorothea,
always
can you
that.
finish out where this is all going? And then if we have additional questions, we can chime
Sure.
in.
Okay.
Just
So
so
once-
she can go through
as I
the
said, once
entire
DASME gives me
process.
the initial in-house approval, I want to go ahead and get Jen on the bid specs, get the bid specs to the board, get it out to bid, get the bids in, get the
Okay.
contract signed, get
Scary.
the accounts restored. Then we'll wait for our money back from DASME. Okay?
Yes, it has to be done one way.
Yeah, it has to be done. The unfortunate part of this, and we're still researching this, and there's more going to have to be done. There is additional damage to the porch
The
itself,
tiles.
through the tiles.
Mhm.
We're not sure how much damage of the water is going down to the basement. That is all being reviewed and looked at.
Okay, but Steve has a moisture meter,
And he's checking.
and he's checking that. And Steve's latest iteration, because he's working with the engineer and with Barrow on this, is that he doesn't think that there actually is wicking coming through, that there's some little bubbling of paint, and he thinks it's, one, that there's not proper ventilation, that moisture is building up within the bathroom itself, and also he doesn't see any new, in other words, it's not a continuing issue, that it's just simply something that is old, that is a remnant from when the bathrooms were done. So I just don't want to open up a whole can of
No,
worms.
no, no, but
because
I want the board to expect that we're going to.
We're going to follow up and give you a
We're
report
going to have more
on the
follow-up, and
outcome.
there probably is going to have to be additional work done to the
Oh, on the
porch
porch, definitely, because we
to
have loose
stabilize
tiles.
the porch.
We have loose tiles, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the scary stuff with the barrel, but the good news is the change up from going from facade to now a replacement in exhibit full capital, which does qualify for that.
And one other thing, because I was there for part of this as well, what's great about this is when they do the replacement of the internal columns, they're going to be so strong, we're good for another 100 years. In other words, this is do it once, do it right, and this will be a proper.
Yeah, this is the CAF grant.
This is
what we're talking about.
This is the one, this is the original grant
For the back.
for the back. Yeah.
Is it CAF grant or not?
No,
No.
this is a DSNY, this was a grant we received.
I'm trying to remember what.
For the back entrance.
Yeah, but I can't remember
This
what
was, this goes back to,
Yeah.
like, kind of like ones we're getting from Lunsford and all
We're
that.
still
It's the
paying all
previous
that money.
rep.
Yeah.
It's been redesignated, so the good news
Even on the
is
ground.
now the grant money can cover it. Okay?
You're welcome to the old houses, right? Thank you so much. This is great.
Thanks, Dorothea.
This is great. I'm so glad we're getting this taken care of. This is
Yeah, no, it's good,
great.
it's bad news, but it's good news.
Right.
In its own way.
It has to happen. This is the people's building. It's it's our building.
So the board will recall, I brought to the board a quote from Spectrum, which is in your packet. The board did not approve the Spectrum quote and then went ahead and approved me to go to Greenlight. I would love to contract with Greenlight, but Greenlight refuses to return phone calls. What I have talked to Greenlight, they have told me the village hall is not accessible, similar to what we heard from the other company that we were looking to go with. There's a possibility DPW is accessible. We have made, I can't tell you the amount of phone calls, talked to someone and said, oh no, they're going to get back to you. I'm surprised they haven't called you.
Nothing.
We have a list of dates and times. I can't even get them to give me a piece of paper saying they can't service us.
I wonder why.
They're
It's
so busy.
ridiculous.
They're waitlisted.
I'm at a point where we
They're just-
really need the fiber coming into the building because we've had at least 2 internet outages that shut the whole office down. So,
Recently.
yes, can I please move forward with Spectrum and
We need
get
something.
fiber into the building?
Well, it's not, is Spectrum fiber or are they using coaxial? Is that?
It's going to be fiber.
Oh, really? Okay.
It will be fiber. They're going to give us 3 months free for signing the contract.
Oh, that's great.
So can I move forward on my original plan? I'm telling you, I have tried. and
Can we
tried
give
and
the
tried.
green light to Spectrum? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I
Oh,
am.
I had to say that. I'm getting.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Oh, it is fiber. Okay, that's, yeah, I mean, that's fine.
I get where we wanted to go with green light.
So do you need a motion?
Yes, I do, because you authorized
I
green light.
make a motion to not author, you mean Spectrum, authorize
Feel the same
Spectrum.
way?
Yes, you had authorized green light
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Oh,
I'll give
doppelganger.
it to Lily.
Oh, sorry.
Lily for the
Thank
win on second. Okay.
All right, trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Lightgev,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay.
And I'm done.
Wow. All righty.
Minutes.
Do we want to do minutes before, because we are going to need an executive session
Correct. You have some
We have
sets of
member
minutes.
and member items as well. We have a few more things to go.
Do you want me to stay for member items?
Do we need, and does anybody need Jeff for specifically for a member item? I do.
No.
Nope, I don't.
You got, you, okay? We're good?
Okay.
We can release you to the universe.
Oh, great.
Jeffrey,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a good night.
you can go watch the debate.
Yeah, get to watch the date. Let's see if we're gonna get home on
I
time.
know.
What?
I know. Okay, we're cruising into minutes.
Okay, minutes, let's see.
Minutes, what's up first? April 23rd.
23rd.
Any questions or comments, or is there a motion?
Seemed condensed enough. It's funny, I was looking through the minutes just now again, and I did notice that we had some comments in here from me earlier about getting the Siemens guy back on here, so that's good. And Jeff, we did have some comments back in May about coming up with some solutions for incentives for something other than salons and personal services.
Oh, there you go.
But I believe only tax cuts or rebates are the way to go. It's about the only thing we can do, right?
I think a grant, if you can find
Yeah.
some kind of The development grant.
Little Village.
I don't know.
Yep,
Yeah,
Probably
all right.
thank you. Okay, we're on April 23rd. Thank you so much, Jeff.
I'll make a motion
April
to-
23rd, is there a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd, 2024.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
I was absent.
Oh, abstain. Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up, May 28th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 28th, 2024.
Oh, you're on it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hold on.
Oops, sorry.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up, June 11th minutes.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I will,
Or did-
I'm just scrolling. I'll
Are we on June 11th?
June 11th, yeah.
Yeah.
There's just one typo.
Oh, thank you.
On page, there's no page number. It's bench installation discussion.
Okay.
Yep.
It says instill, instill like it's still.
Yeah.
It's installation.
Good one.
It's all- it's just a typo.
Yeah, thank you. And amazing, we got Biebighauser right. Just saying.
We can't spell installation.
I know, we can't spell it.
Make it
Right.
still. Make it-
Okay, there was a motion.
Second.
Second, please, thank you. Roll call.
Okay, Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up, the minutes for June 25th.
Just one correction on that. Art Pierce's name is misspelled. It's spelled Piers. I think it's Pires. Yeah.
It's weird, it's spelled correctly in other spots.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
it's spelled correctly here.
I know, I'm surprised spell check didn't get it. No, seriously, because it should.
Yeah, there's like one misspelling of it later on in the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah,
So
there's-
I'll make a motion
yeah.
to approve the minutes of June 25th as corrected with corrections.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Do I have to leave? I left early. Do I have to abstain?
You left, are you there?
Might as well.
All right, I'll abstain. I'll abstain, yeah, I'll abstain.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up, July 16th.
Just have one correction. Newcomb, Mike Newcomb, his name is spelled wrong. I think it's spelled Newcome.
Oh,
See you on-
Yeah,
Should be a B.
yep, yep.
Any other corrections?
I didn't see any.
Okay.
That was the one I
I'll
thought.
make a motion to approve the July 16th meeting minutes as with corrections.
A second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
July 31st, I was absent,
So
so
was I.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
My second?
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer and Trustee Lightgev abstain. Motion passes.
okay, thank you. Minutes are done. Next up, member items. Yes, Lily. Okay.
Amazingly. First, I contacted the artist
Gallery.
lot on the corner of
Oh, the
Main.
Fine Arts Gallery?
Yes, Fine Arts Gallery.
Mhm.
And for the bicentennial, which is next year, of the Erie Canal,
Mhm.
I asked if he thought there would be any interest in having, again, an art show, and maybe the village hall could be a part of it, where artists who've done work featuring the Erie Canal
Mhm.
could exhibit their work and could advertise it as here at Village
Wouldn't that
Hall,
be fun?
particularly if it has any, historic,
Yeah.
but photography and fine art as well.
Mhm.
So I was wondering if there was any interest in the village being a co-sponsor or working with the Fine Art Studio to have a bicentennial of the Erie Canal Art Show. Hopefully, I talked to Jesse also at Pittsford Rec, and he wants to see how his art show goes this fall. He's having one with the Pittsford Art Group
Oh, that's right.
first,
Yeah, yeah.
And then he said he might have it in several venues throughout the village. People could do
Oh, I
a
love
walking
that.
tour.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll find someplace on Shane, maybe in the mill,
Mhm.
where also the work could be exhibited.
That'd be great.
Okay, so that was one. My second item is we have a sign like this one, except it hangs at the DPW on the second floor in storage. And so it's languishing, and we would like to return it to its working position. And I've talked with Zach about it, and he said sometime in the future, when the crew gets back up to speed, that they would look into remounting the pole, which still exists, and just putting the sign back.
And cut all the brush back.
And cut the brush back, and
Yeah.
now, then we will have our
That'd be awesome.
6th entry sign.
Yeah.
With the- Yes.
For relatively no cost. We like that, Dorothea.
The-
Time I can spend nothing on this.
I know. 'Cause I have
Big
to-
thumbs up there.
The next item is, I'd like the board to consider discussing at our next meeting, a possible charrette on Shone Place before the snow falls, and which charrette would include the area between the Main Street Bridge and the State Street Bridge, specifically, hopefully for us to assess the state of the canal path and what the path forward might be for possible improvements, so that we're kind of on page for when we get the grant, and we can talk about what that might look like. I went over to Fairport, and I did see their ramp, so now I've got ramp envy, because they have from, it's just, there's a wall, we have a wall, they have a wall, and they make a ramp, because all the kids like to play on that canal bank, because it's the only place along there that they can access the water, and it's, when they go climbing over those rocks, they're pushing them into the water, they're picking the rocks up, they're throwing them, but if we make an area that's more refined, I don't know what to call it, more cultivated, rather than just climbing over the rocks, gives them the opportunity to throw rocks, little dragons if they want to, but it gives them a safe spot to do it from. I'm just saying, it's a ramp, they can do a lot of things with it. They can fish off of it.
Yeah.
I have pictures if you'd like to see them, but Fairport has one. And they
Been
can,
there.
yeah, and you can launch kayaks from it. It's not big, it's not fancy. I think it's
Understood.
very
Yeah.
in scale with our
Yeah.
chain places.
So how do we organize a charrette?
Well, okay, let's finish member items.
So we'll talk about that, who would.
Because there's other member item that the mayor has, and maybe they
Okay.
can chime in on.
So the only one I have is actually also about the bicentennial. And I was going to ask what our plans were for that. Has anybody thought of anything else?
Yep, that's my member item.
Okay,
What
then I'll
is-
just wait for you. No, I'm just saying, I just wanted to
Yeah.
brainstorm and see what we
Yeah,
do. It's a very exciting time. Okay?
My only member item is I thought I read correctly the minutes to July 31st, but if you could review them, there's some comments from the mayor in the meeting, she was absent, embedded in that, so I'd like to just have July 31st revisited for the minutes.
Yeah,
And
there's
then-
comments from me in there?
And then
Really?
bring
I
it
didn't
back.
see that.
No,
Well,
I didn't look at it because I was absent.
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't even think.
I didn't.
think
I just
so.
noticed it. Mayor Plummer asked the village clerk to read the overview of the open meeting.
Oh, you know,
It's just like the
cut
tag, yeah.
Oh, it's
Cut
just,
and paste.
Yeah,
It's cut and paste error.
yeah, you know what's funny about the cut and paste error? Mayor Plummer asked if there was any public comments. The village clerk stated there were none.
whoa,
That's a pretty standard.
so that was by telepathy, okay?
We're
Good
connected
catch.
within our.
I just didn't look because I was absent.
Yeah, and
didn't
I
even-
did, but I only looked at the motion stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then if it's cut and paste error, it's okay if I just correct them
Yeah.
and move forward.
Yeah, you're right. And the content of everything that happened is fine, so
Yeah, I'll fix the cut and paste.
do you need a motion to do that?
No,
No, it's just,
Okay, very good.
okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're-
Justin, anything?
I don't have any.
You good? Okay, so a couple member items. It's interesting you want to talk about Shane Place because I was contacted by the executive director of Cornhill Navigation, Sam Patch folks, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have received a grant for accessibility, for really expanding the accessibility area for how people can get on the sand patch if they have wheelchair needs or, whatever. So they're looking into that, and they're working with, I'm blanking on her name, I think it's Anita O'Brien of something like Accessible Rochester. She's really amazing. She helped with the accessible launch down here for the town, working with a lot of different canal communities. And so, I said, gee, we have this grant for the canal path, and part of it is incorporating that area. We need to work together if there's something to help with accessibility. And so I met with him, and Dave was part of that meeting as well, just happened. And, it's kind of the opportunity now to take a look and work with the sand patch, because they're an integral part of our community. Yes. There's thousands and thousands of people who come into the village because of the sand patch. Whether they're school children or tourists or whatever. So I think it's an opportunity to really combine all of these resources and move forward. And I know that John Reddington as well, who, they put in the conceptual design, is more than happy to circle back and take a look at what are the next steps with the community, Okay. So I think that's all perfect timing. I also just want to talk about the bicentennial. I visited the Seneca Chief, which is an exact handmade replica of the packet boat that DeWitt Clinton went down the Erie Canal the year it was opened up, and had the marrying of the waters of the Hudson River and the Erie Canal. The Seneca Chief was docked down at Cornhill, and I got a tour of the boat, and it's going to be on the bicentennial circuit next year, and it's a big deal. And so they were going to stay overnight in Rochester in a big thing, and then they were going to go to Fairport, and I said, hey, we're here. They're going to stop here. Seneca Chief, we'll make the stop.
Okay, good, because they just floated by.
Yeah, I was like, bye, no, and it's beautiful. It's really it's an amazing project. And so anyway, so they're going to stop here. We have the leadership meeting next week with the town and also with the school district, and the schools want to be involved somehow, the Seneca Chief, and this could really be a wonderful event. I also had a brief meeting with Vicki Prophet, who wants to kind of, it's not just the one event, there's going to be multiple events, I think, that they're planning, and Historic Pittsburgh is looking at some stuff as well.
I asked Historic Pittsburgh if they had anything planned, and they hadn't at this time.
Oh, Vicki thought that they did.
So
maybe, because she's on the board.
Make a pitch.
Yeah, so I do think we really have an opportunity, so it's not just one event, it's sort of many, but the biggie is really going to be the Seneca Chief. That's just huge, because all the different stops that they're making along the canal, there's going to be, the band strikes up, and those kids are there, and, we can really.
So quick comment to that.
Yeah.
Love it, great. Talking about Seneca Chief, I just went and pulled up the Buffalo Maritime Center to see what the full even looked like.
Yeah.
Really cool. Happened to, when I'm looking it up, come upon a map with all the different 2025 itinerary.
Yep.
So we're not on it yet.
No, we're on it.
We are?
Yep.
Okay.
No, we're not on that map, but we're a stop.
We're a stop.
We're a stop.
Okay, but it's not,
These are the overnights.
these are the overnights.
These are the overnights.
Could we steal one of Fairport's overnights?
They have
They
two?
have two.
Fairport's, we can ask. We can ask. I doubt it, though.
I doubt it.
To be honest
It's
with
already
you.
on the calendar.
But I think
All right.
we're going to get a really nice stop, and, the executive,
Yeah.
I'm kind of a canal geek, and I go to the canal symposiums,
great.
and so they were like, yeah, we're going to
Okay.
stop,
So this
So,
is.
even if they stop for,
September-
like a 4-hour.
Yeah,
event.
what date is this?
It is likely September 27th or 28th.
Yeah, he's going to
Probably
get back in
20.
touch with us and give us the
Coming
exact.
up next year.
Next
Oh, it's
year.
next year, yeah.
Next year.
And this also dovetails with the World Canal Conference, which is a really big deal. A couple years ago, it was in Leipzig. I can't remember where it was this past year, but they're all over the world. It is going to be in Buffalo next year.
Okay.
And so it is just a tremendous opportunity for the entire region.
Mhm.
We're really
So
excited.
it's a whole weekend, or is it a week-long thing?
Sorry,
Just-
yeah.
Is it a weekend primarily?
We're going back and forth on a couple topics.
Okay, I'm just trying to do a member item.
I'm
that's all.
sorry.
No, it's a
No,
great
Doesn't
one.
matter.
No, this is what I'm talking about.
I know.
This bicentennial, is it going to be a?
28
Yeah.
is hope
It's a
it's
weekend.
Sunday. If they happen to hit us on that Sunday, that'd be awesome.
Mhm.
Because they're staying in Rochester that Saturday night.
Yes.
And then Fairport.
They will be coming on
And then
Sunday.
Fairport Sunday
Sunday.
night. and
No,
Monday
they're
night.
coming on Sunday.
That's going to be good,
That's
weekend
gonna be really
events.
good.
All right,
Yeah.
So we'll keep you guys in the loop. No, it is really going to be
yeah, cool.
absolutely a blast. We're really excited about it. Let's see, so what else? And I'll put together the information. Gerald Lusk is sending it to me. Next Tuesday, I believe it's 7 to 9 at the fire station, is the referendum for the sale of the Wadums house. And it's so we can go and vote. Okay, so we're going to be putting out a bulletin to residents about that.
That's next
And, just the
Tuesday.
nature of the referendum and what it means, just very factually, so people understand what that means. I'm excited for getting on the.
That's the 17th of September?
A week from tonight.
When I'm
Yeah.
gone, I'm gonna be in NICA.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, cool. Anyway, so we'll put out that information. Jared's going to be
Okay.
getting that to me.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
yeah, and that's all I have. Yeah, what?
I got
Oh, okay, you got nothing.
I'm
Okay.
just flipping a page, ready?
Okay, so let's see, we've covered everything, so I make a motion that we go into an executive session.
I second?
Well, hang on, for the, we have to state the purpose.
Oh, perfect.
For the purpose of employee matters.
I second.
Okay, we have a second, roll call, please.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes. We need 3 seconds.
Yeah, okay, we'll have to pause, thank you. We're set?
Yep, go ahead.
I make a motion, we leave executive session, is there a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll make a motion that we hire Sarah Wiggins for $22 an hour as a full-time groundskeeper laborer, starting as soon as possible, pending background checks, physical, and drug tests.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
No,
Zach.
thanks, Ed.
Zach, you do exited